Hey, welcome to Command HQ. I'm Brock Perdine, and we got a lot of additional content from the farmer protests in France. We can play a little bit of this. This is from Peter Sweden. Short clip showing that the taxi drivers in Paris have joined the fun right below the Arc de Triomphe. So I got a long list of tweets here. Bear with me here. It's not necessarily organized or anything. Okay, this is a tweet from Illuminati bot. When food processing plants are mysteriously burned down, cattle are dying and no one seems to care. It's a meme of John Travolta from the Quentin Tarantino movie. Illuminati bot, did these bankers destroy Tesla to stop his gift of free energy for all? JP Morgan, Warburg, and Rockefeller. They made Nikola Tesla into controlled opposition by financially backing him. And then when they found that he potentially would give some of his patents away, they sought to control him through some of the newspapers they owned, as well as preventing him from either making money off the patents or keeping him kind of locked down. Elon Musk tweeted out. Elon Musk was pretty frustrated yesterday based on the ruling from Kathleen McCormick, a judge on the Court of Chancellery in Delaware. It's a state court, which blocked the shareholder compensation package for Elon Musk that totaled around $55 billion. So Elon tweeted out, I recommend incorporating in Nevada or Texas if you prefer shareholders to decide matters. Good point. Lara Logan, as always, I stand 100% with you. So this is James O'Keefe, who went wild yesterday saying that he was not suicidal and that he was going to release information today. I mean, we'll see how bombshell it is. And then in his really, really long tweet, he seemed to complain about people sending him tips, saying that they don't do anything about it. There are a lot of people who do things about whatever whistleblowing that they're doing. People like me. But it is true that most people don't actually step up. But to say that in a tweet in long form like he was doing, and then saying that he wasn't suicidal because he's going to release something, it makes it seem like, I don't know, he's definitely released some interesting stuff lately, but you never really know. James O'Keefe, I mean, could just be another turd, and he's using the tweet just to publicize. PR stunt. Stephen Miller, impeach Mayorkas, impeach Biden. Now, this is a clip of a bunch of illegal immigrants beating up some New York City cops. Violence is wrong, regardless who is the recipient. Especially these New York City cops who are pretty exposed. It's awful. It is awful. A meme from Illuminati bot, our society has been dumbed down and indoctrinated so bad they assume every critical thinker is a conspiracy theorist, and it's a meme of the Joker. Wall Street Silver says farmers in France continue to dump tons of manure in front of government buildings in various tours. Like the Tour de France. The Lance Armstrong of manure dumping. We'll see what happens. I know that Macron deployed some military assets to quiet the protests, so we'll see. Okay, the Texas one says, James O'Keefe says he is not suicidal and is about to drop the mother of all videos. Let's go. Who knows? We'll see. Random tweet from an account saying, expulsion, get her fucking ass out of the country, period. So this is a screenshot of an article from the Washington Times, and it headlines with the text, Ron DeSantis calls for Ilhan Omar's expulsion from Congress, deportation over Somalia first video. Illuminati bot again. A lot of Illuminati bot tweets in here. The meme shows two sort of NPCs. Text on one of them, on the top one, says, the sinking of the Titanic was an accident caused by poor weather conditions. And on the bottom, the text reads, that the Titanic was deliberately sunk to kill off those who oppose the creation of the Federal Reserve. Interesting. Here's a video of a golden retriever outsmarting, or not necessarily outsmarting, but showing how smart golden retrievers are. And there's a sort of a, you know, one of those toy knives where it's plastic and the blade goes inwards if you touch anything. And then the dog sort of signals that it knows that it's being played by bringing an actual knife. Okay, this is a post-millennial tweet / article just in. Christian vet who beheaded satanic statue at Iowa Capitol, charged with hate crime. Can you believe it? Makes sense. That's how evil these people are. Flashback. In 2020, Project Veritas and James Keefe released a video exposing a cash for votes harvesting scheme in Minnesota, naming Ilhan Omar as the mastermind behind it. The video exposes a ballot harvester who brought a registration form for an absentee ballot from a voter with $200 of pocket money. The ballot harvester then expected to collect his ballot when the voter receives it. Wow, James O'Keefe looks a lot younger in this video. Ballot harvesters connected to Omar are alleged to have spent thousands of dollars in cash bribes for the purposes of a campaign to collect votes in Minnesota. These harvesters show individuals what paperwork to fill out and how, often tracking the ballot and collecting upon delivery.
Ballot from a voter, giving him, quote, James O'Keefe back here on the ground in Minneapolis. Our undercover journalist at Project Veritas have just exposed a voter fraud ring so widespread that many members of the Somali community here consider it an open secret. Many believe if this corruption continues, there'll be no more free elections, and our sources inside this.
In the background where James O'Keefe's on the top of a building, he's in like a parking ramp of some sort. I'm trying to think. That might be... I know that I've been in that ramp before. Anyways, he's got what appears to be the Mogadishu towers in the background right here. And those were where all of the Somalians lived in the 90s and still reside today. It's in the 90s, it was probably 95% Somalian, and now it's probably 80% Somalian.
Somali community here allege that the architect of this pay-for-vote scheme is none other than U.S. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Your focus is winning, no matter what you do. You ignore the rules and regulations. There's no moral and ethics here. It's just the end will justify the means.
Project Veritas has received an explosive piece of tape. The tape you're about to see shows a man buying a registration form for an absentee ballot from a voter, giving him, quote, pocket money, unquote, of $200 and expecting to collect his ballot when the voter receives it. In this next tape, we hear from another ballot harvester who tells us how much money he receives for his illegal activities. Activities he says he doesn't care are illegal.
It's actually a really long video, but... I mean, the elections are so corrupt and rigged in Minnesota that all this stuff really does make sense. The more light that's shined down on the elections in Minnesota, the better, because there's no way it's just not possible that these radical Democrats can continue to win elections in the way they do. And they've pivoted Minnesota so far left, and for, I don't know, 150 years, there was a strong Democrat sort of ethos or thread running through a lot of the farmers because it's an agricultural state outside of the metro. But it was never outside of the, very center median of politics, especially considering that most Germans and Scandinavians in the state are pretty conservative socially, like I've constantly mentioned. But it has just, even before George Floyd, and people have said that the judicial system is now more fully corrupt, and they've been able to see it in the last 3 to 4 years. It's been corrupt for at least 10 years. I don't know if I was a test case or what, but Minnesota has gone so far left, and it's the state itself is destroyed. It will never come back from where it's been. And, maybe it does have something to do with a lot of this election engineering. We'll go back to this if we have more time. Okay, another tweet. Ford projecting a 30% decrease in commercial chassis orders. What this means, if you're ordering fewer chassis, you're likely producing fewer vehicles, but 30% is a big number. Image below is a layoff notice filed by one of Ford's vendors, Detroit Chassis. Has a screenshot. 64 people are being laid off from this particular company. Okay. This is very, very interesting. And I know additional information has come out about the pipe bomb situation on January 6th. And it implicates the Capitol Police. Apparently, a plainclothes Capitol Police officer was the first to find both devices. So, I mean, how dirty are these cops? But still, are the Capitol Police, ATF, and FBI totally corrupt or completely incompetent? Representative Massey confirms person who found January 6 pipe bombs is current U.S. Capitol Police officer. And then there's a link to the article from the Gateway Pundit. We have Matt Gaetz on his Firebrand live stream podcast with Thomas Massey. Confirm these details. We can look at that. I forgot to actually pull that up, but we can just go to Mike Flynn's X account and see that. And then, yeah, let's actually do that. Okay, so this is the Gateway Pundit article. And it's got a Darren Beatty tweet. Yeah, this is... So Matt Gaetz put this out. Let's watch this. It's a really well-produced live stream, by the way. I'm kind of jealous because Matt Gaetz doesn't have a lot of time on his hands because he's busy working. So I don't know if he employs like a team or what here, because he can't use his staff from his office to put this live stream together. All right, where's the volume? Okay, there we go.
You recently met with Capitol Police.
Correct. Today.
And what did you learn in that meeting?
I learned that backpack guy, January 6th backpack guy, not to be confused with January 5th backpack person. Backpack guy was a non-uniform, plainclothes police officer in the employ of the Capitol Hill Police.
The person who found the pipe bomb,
Thomas
the
Massey
person who
overthinks a lot of these
D'Antuono,
things.
who was leading the investigation, say,
He
the person who found it.
Comes directly from Matt Gaetz. He just says it like it is. Massey, because he's kind of like an engineer like me, he overthinks a lot of things.
It'd be investigation 101 that they would be a suspect initially until ruled out. You're saying that person was an undercover, plainclothes Capitol Police officer, and the Capitol Police confirmed that to you today.
Well, we know that all the cops in D.C., including Alexandria, Virginia, are corrupt. Guaranteed. So, makes perfect sense.
They confirmed that to me today. Yes. Which, so, by the way,
what does that mean to you?
Well, it heightens some of my concerns and reduces some of the other concerns. Okay. One of the concerns that's heightened was, trying to give the Secret Service and the Metro Police Department the benefit of the doubt when they took 4 minutes. They finished their lunch before they went and dealt with this pipe bomb. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt and think,
they finished their
if it's
lunch.
just some random passerby and he said, hey, there's something shiny over there, could be a lawn sprinkler, not sure, maybe want to check it out. But that's not what it was. It was a person who was, they say, again, when I relate this to you, I'm relating what the Capitol Police have told me. They say it was a Capitol Police officer who found this bomb and that he told them it was a bomb. He radioed it in, said, we've got the device. We found another device. Remember, here's the other just amazing timing, is that the first pipe bomb, the one at the Capitol Hill Club, now they call it the RNC pipe bomb, but they really should be calling it the Capitol Hill pipe bomb. I mean, the two buildings are next to each other.
Okay, yeah. So I think the reason what Massey is getting to is that they put these devices at both the RNC and DNC, but they realize that they're kind of dipshits, because that undermines the whole narrative that it was just a bunch of conservative Trump supporters rioting, and they had a lot of hatred towards Democrats, and so they would never have legitimately, you know, theoretically, of course, placed anything near the RNC. Plus, there was just too much exposure about the undercover operation, and they never wanted that to get out either. That's why they didn't hype that up in the media.
Like
The Capitol Hill Club, which is an entity where Republican members of Congress socialize and fundraise.
right. The
And
reason
the
I'm making
Capitol
that
Hill Club is really close to the White House. I know that I've walked past there at least once or twice. It's just
distinction is Darren Beatty, who's done amazing work on this. Okay, he's the guy who's said, hey, you should be asking some of these questions. And I said, you know what, you're right. I will be asking those questions. He points out that the RNC-DNC narrative
or it's really close to the Capitol, isn't it? I don't know.
was made up after the fact. You know, it was really the Capitol Hill Club DNC narrative that they should be talking about, but it just sounds a lot better that, oh, we knew to go look at the DNC once we found one at the RNC.
Interesting.
Well, if you thought somebody was going to blow up the RNC, and don't they hate Republicans? Why would they also want to blow up? Anyways, so, you know, they come down, this plainclothes police officer who had been in the vicinity of that one, they had just found that. The timing is remarkable because it was found 5 minutes before the breach of the bicycle racks at the perimeter of the Capitol. Just a miraculous timing.
Yeah,
that would have
very
provided
convenient timing,
exactly the right
where
timing to distract. After sitting in an alley
found
for
it at
17
the exact
hours,
perfect time, didn't they?
you know, found by somebody who says she was going to go do her laundry. Okay, then they respond to that, they secure the area, and 15 minutes later they find this other bomb. Like, what miraculous timing!
Well, I definitely don't believe that the Capitol Police would purposefully go and set a bomb anywhere that could potentially blow up and do anyone harm. I am not there that they would do something like that. However, you seem to point out in questioning with the ATF
I think
director
they got tipped off
that this
to
wasn't
go
an
and look for
operational
it.
bomb that was going to blow up and hurt anybody. Remember that?
Right. The assistant director in charge, he went on TV and said these were operable bombs, and offered a reward, put out a message that they played on TV, and so. In the beginning of my transcribed interview with him, he still maintained that they were operable.
Well, hold on. We're going to get the ATF director's take on that, questioning from Congressman Massey. Take a listen.
Also, I see that you're cooperating with the FBI, the ATF is, on the January 6th pipe bomb investigation. What can you tell us about how that's going?
Obviously, that's a significant matter. It is an ongoing criminal investigation, and so I'm not going to comment on an ongoing criminal investigation.
Were those pipe bombs operable?
Again,
The ATF is the expert.
Again, it's an ongoing criminal
So they
investigation.
cover
and under
everything up.
longstanding policy, I
Ongoing
cannot comment.
investigation.
We've just had a whole committee for 2 years
up,
that
cover up,
investigated
cover up,
ongoing
cover up,
investigations. So
cover
I'm
up.
not accepting that answer
Conceal
from you.
all your
We need to
corruption.
know these things. Do you know how the pipe bomb was discovered at the DNC? We've been told how it was discovered at the RNC, and according to a press release from the FBI, you're working with them on this investigation.
Respectfully, I understand your disagreement, but I cannot comment because it is an ongoing criminal investigation.
It's an ongoing cover-up.
So helpful.
There we go. Yeah,
It's their
see?
policy not to comment on ongoing
Massey
cover-ups.
said the same thing,
Yeah, it
and I
seems like
said,
it.
So here's what I've come to know since that
Okay.
interview too. You chase some leads. I believe, based on discussions with police, with FBI, and with former ATF who now works for Capitol Police, that the bombs went to Quantico for inspection, not to the ATF. Now he could have just told me that in the hearing. Right?
Oh, interesting.
He could have said, "Well, we didn't look
Wait,
at the
why would they
fragments
go
after
to the
we blew these
feds?
things up. It was actually FBI at Quantico looked at them, but he didn't. He wouldn't even tell me that. So
Well, I
he either
guess
doesn't know it or just
makes sense,
is so
but-
stuck on it like a broken record on it's our.
it's because the ATF was trying to cover the whole thing up.
Long-standing policy not to comment.
So we're in this meeting last night, and one of our Republican colleagues turns to you as you're explaining how long it's been that this has been an open investigation, these videos that show the strange behavior of a person we now know was a plainclothes Capitol Police officer. And one of our Republican colleagues kept pressing you and saying, but Thomas, why would they do this? Why would anyone try to plant these phony fake devices in order to create confusion that day? And we don't know the answer to that question, in all honesty. Do you have a working theory?
Yeah, well, again, I don't know who did it, but I can tell you a consequence of this, because this is buried in the back of the January 6th committee report, that there was a call to bring more bike racks to the Capitol. They had hundreds of them loaded up, ready to bring to the Capitol to reinforce the Capitol. And it turns out those never made it because this DNC pipe bomb was discovered, and they set up a perimeter and blocked them from coming.
So if there was a
Okay.
booby trap intended to have people commit a technical violation of federal criminal law with no intent to break the law, that was facilitated perhaps by the very interestingly timed discovery of these two devices.
Yeah, whether there was intent or not, the result of this, according to the January 6th committee, was that it made it easier to breach the Capitol because the reinforcements couldn't be brought to the Capitol.
Thanks so much for watching this video.
Quote, retweet from DC Drano. Ilhan Omar is a pretty clear example of why we must never allow foreign-born or foreign-raised aliens to become elected members of government. It's exactly what the founding fathers had warned us about. And it is played out exactly that way in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar. And then John Miller says, I would just like to point out that Bro was literally in Israel last week to stand with a foreign nation. After being falsely accused of rape by classmate Juanetta Gibson, Brian Banks spent close to 6 years in prison. In 2012, his conviction was overturned when his accuser confessed that she had fabricated the entire story. Brian Banks was, I believe, a standout high school football player in California. He's like a 4 or 5 star linebacker. And Juanetta Gibson had received a huge settlement from the California school district, millions of dollars. She may have now been required to repay part of the settlement that she originally got, but she spent the money anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I believe Juanetta Gibson called up Brian Banks following his release from jail to try and go on a date with him. And he had hired a private investigator. And they put a wire on him, and he went to go meet her at a restaurant. And then she admitted that she fabricated the entire thing in order to get attention. But then once her mom became involved, her mom wanted to sue the school district in order to get, a financial payoff. Meanwhile, Brian Banks spent 6 years in jail. So he came out and, I don't think he has sued Juanetta Gibson and her family. Maybe he has. I don't know. I'm not up to date on the actual case. But he came out and he said that, he forgives her for what she's done, and her mother as well. It's not like he forgot it, but he certainly forgives her. it's a powerful story. You know, in the case of other people, they make up these allegations to silence them, you know, and you're seeing that with Trump, for example. You saw that with me. And, you know, the documents come out and says, oh, you know, we want to silence him or whatever. We're fabricating evidence to silence him. And, you know, it just continues on. And there's no accountability, which is incredibly frustrating. But at the same time, you know, it brings you closer to God. And you realize that life has very exacting priorities, in that our priority is God, our second priority is family, and then the third priority is sort of like humanity in general. System isn't broken, it's fixed. Kim.com, the US is bankrupt and can't afford war with Iran, so what do? They ask for a WWE wrestling match, a show fight. Give us a target to strike. Let us look strong, and then there's no need for war, they tell Iran. But instead, Iran lets the world know and embarrass Joe Biden. Breaking. Iran, US exchanged messages ahead of Biden's military response. You know, this could have easily been a stand down by the Defense Intelligence Agency, by the Department of Defense, by manipulating the identification of the incoming drone and sending out in a coordinated fashion whatever drone was supposed to be returning at the same time to cause a mix-up, to let that drone hit the Jordanian base. Not saying there was, I'm just saying there could be. And, you know, this in the back door, then, you know, Biden is allowed to retaliate against Iran to escalate us further into World War III. Because we're already in World War III. It's just a matter of how far and how deep do we want to go at this point. Bleak January as Barclays flags 40 bank branches for closure. Barclays, the London-based bank. Kind of curious where all these closures are happening, if it's in the UK or if it's in the US or just around the world. Yeah, okay, so it's in the UK, Scotland, Wales. This is a tunnel video. From that New York synagogue. Hasidic Jew coming up from the street through one of those grates. (2020) Arizona audit. Senate Majority Whip Sonny Borelli. Documentation confirms 733,000 drop box mail-in ballots vanished. That's right. $733,000 ballots are unaccounted for. This is a quote retweet from Stephen Miller. Breaking, we sued the Department of Homeland Security censorship arm, CISA, and unearthed shocking new documents showing that the deep state knew the risks of mass mail voting while simultaneously censoring criticism of mass mail voting. Again, CISA is able to censor because they have core access to all the big tech platforms. And we have a video of Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium in South Dakota. Over here, your boy Mike Lindell. And we talk about data centers and some of the defenses set up to prevent them from being exposed. I'm sure CISA has their hand in all of that.
At me relentlessly. And that's why we're here, and that's why they've done this. So they don't want me to show it. But I'll tell you what, we have backups and the show will go on.
Yeah, I mean, actually, when you think about CISA's core access to a lot of these big tech platforms, it's actually very, very brilliant in the way that they strategize to censor content through CISA because of that core access. And it really makes you wonder why and how it's done, you know, and what sort of conduits and what avenues they're using in order to gain access and maintain access, what kind of contracts and what kind of other tactics that they're employing in order to continue the justification of the existence of CISA having that access to these core platforms. You know, and many people, I think, were unaware that they were manipulating, in some regards, the election by promoting mail-in voting.
It's what the media did to us.
Oh my God.
And big tech, this is a prime example. When this happened to our country with this election, there was more things out there, more evidence in November, December than any crime in history. But how did we lose that? Because the media and Facebook and Twitter and the biggest cover up in history. They lied. They've been doing it to me for months, just attacking me relentlessly. And that's why we're here, and that's why they've done this. So they don't want me to show it. But I'll tell you what, we have backups and the show will go on.
It's true. Machiavelli says, "You are a brave man, James. We the people support your mission to expose evil and unleash the uncomfortable truth." Just imagine how hard they've come after me over the past 10 years, fabricating all kinds of bullshit. I mean, I'm sure that James O'Keefe hasn't experienced 1/1000th of what they've done to me, but still, you know, the fact that he is wigging out because of whatever, I mean, they would have really honestly already come after him. They would have prevented the publication in general. So I don't think he has anything to worry about. Richard Grinnell, Joe Biden and Nicolas Maduro both go after their political opponents in the same way. And here's a screenshot of an article from yesterday, January 30th, 2024. Venezuela bars leading opposition candidate from election as Democrat model catches on. I'll read the first paragraph here. The government of Venezuela has banned the leading opposition candidate from participating in the country's election. Last week, I'll read the second paragraph here. Last week, Venezuelan Supreme Court judges loyal to the Latin American country's despotic socialist leader, Nicolas Maduro, blocked the presidential candidacy of Maria Corina Machado, who overwhelmingly won the opposition primary in October, a move that has drawn widespread condemnation. It's interesting that they would let Maria Corina Machado run in Venezuela, considering that she's, you know, it's a Catholic country, so there's a lot of respect for women and stuff, but it's ruled by Maduro, so it makes sense why they would try and block her from the ballot. Mark Levin, DC has become a violent hellhole. Trump admin official shot in DC in critical condition after carjacking rampage. a link to a Daily Wire article. Mike Gill is in a hospital in critical condition after being shot while picking up his wife, an education lawyer, blocks from the White House on K Street in downtown DC at 5:45 p.m. I mean, this is nuts. This is insane. Within blocks of the White House, and some random crime takes place like this. Yeah, I mean, I think what President Trump said about foreign diplomats coming to Washington, D.C. and, you know, driving through the streets to the White House and seeing just a bunch of trash and criminals and rampant drug use, and just imagining that this country is, you know, quote, leading the free world. Unbelievable. Amanda Meme says, liberals hate the Constitution. There's a meme here of Joe Biden. In the background, the text reads, the Constitution was written because of people like this. Yes, it was. And here's Katie Hobbs, hauled to her crime scene, witnessed her crime scene, and yet certified her own crime scene. Batch after batch after batch of ballots sent to duplication, but there is no unique serial number or identification number on the ballot. Had to be duplicated. A little messed up grammar here. Okay, so yeah, but the point here is that
the duplicates should be.
Okay, there's
You'll
a
notice
2-minute
that
video.
there's 3 that are duplicates. So while the count in here, we'd expect it to be 3 lower than what the total count was because they're taken out for duplicates. For the example that they gave us, there's nothing listed. And so our understanding, if this form is filled out properly, the duplicates should be referenced in here, and we're not finding that be the case. And our numbers across the board showed that. We took into account duplicates in the information that we gave, and it wasn't explained. So I'm still uncertain as to why these boxes are off and these sheets do not match the reality of what we're running into.
Logan said that duplicate ballots are created when the original ballot is damaged and can't be run through the system. In addition, according to the former
duplicate
Secretary
ballots,
of State,
right? There's a bunch of weird duplicate serial numbers on the ballot itself. All of these ballots have the same weird duplication on it. Yeah, legit election for
Audit
sure.
Director Ken Bennett, each duplicate ballot must have a 6-digit serial number printed on it that matches a 6-digit serial number printed on the original damaged ballot
we'll give them a
that
chance.
it corresponds to. However, Bennett said they can't find the original ballots that match up to the duplicated ballots.
Okay, so I mean, the local news here in Arizona is not being super deceptive, but they are being a little bit misleading here by not pointing out that, you know, these ballots that are supposedly duplicates that should have kind of a primary source or tied to or mapped to its original ballot. But why does the duplicate ballot have just a bunch of these? Oh, it doesn't have, but I'm an idiot. God, I gotta like read this stuff while I'm on before I talk. But there's no unique serial number on the ballot. It had to be duplicated. There's no unique, see, it's this messed up grammar that's messing me up. But here is, had to be duplicated. Okay, so the duplicate, I just read it more fully without actually just zipping through it. It's because of the grammar, so terrible here. The duplicate ballot doesn't have a matching serial number on it. What the fuck? What the fuck? Yep. Totally above board election in Arizona, for sure.
We are finding a 6-digit unique identifier, serial number, it says in 16621, on the duplicate ballots, but we're not finding a corresponding serial number on the original ballot that was damaged or otherwise had to be duplicated. In fact, I was so surprised that I brought the 2 observers from the Secretary of State's office over, along with some other volunteer observers from various parties, just to kind of document that we're running into batch after batch after batch of ballots sent to duplication, but there's no unique serial number or identification number on the ballot that had to be duplicated that should correspond with a ballot over in the has been duplicated box.
Bennett said those should match up one for one, and they should match up to the total number of ballots as a whole.
We are struggling as to how we're going to be able to match up ballots sent to be duplicated with the ballots that were duplicated if one of those, the originals, are missing that 6-digit number.
Citizen Free Press says Chicago alderman is done with illegal immigrants. If you give me 3 meals, housing, childcare, education, a voucher for $9,000, you know what? I come to Chicago too, and that's what they're doing.
And they're sending money back to Chicago.
Play from the very beginning.
Now, I've said this before. If you give me 3 meals, housing, child care, education, a voucher for $9,000, you know what? I come to Chicago.
You know what really allows for this to happen is that we don't really have a balanced budget, that we live in a debt-dependent society, that the federal government constantly spends money before they actually have it. If we had some constitutional requirement where there would have to be some sort of balanced budget equation in place, and you couldn't spend money before it was created, this never would happen because we wouldn't have a lot of excess money. We probably would have excess money, but I think there would be a lot more outrage about how it's spent on illegal immigrants coming in, because it really is abuse to these illegal immigrants. And a lot of the illegal immigrants, unfortunately, I don't have the video up, but as I was watching earlier in a different video on a different computer, especially these women coming in from Venezuela or whatever, they've went to university there. They've had, whatever, decent roles as teachers there, and they come here as legal immigrants and they're begging for food. They have a low quality of life for the first year while they're here. And their children are put in these very dangerous situations. So there's no denying it that this is total abuse towards these illegal immigrants.
And
that's my main opposition, I think.
People, and they're sending money back to Chicago, back to Venezuela, to come to Chicago because they're saying, hey, the good times are rolling there. They're taking care of everybody.
Why not just figure out a way to, help Venezuela? I realize that there's some back and forth. I don't know if there's sanctions or tariffs on Venezuela right now, but there's got to be a way to dig yourself out of this situation versus dealing with the cost of all these illegal immigrants coming in to Chicago.
When we have Venezuelans that are driving cars, where did they get a driver's license? Where did they get insurance
That's an
from?
epidemic up here as well. Constantly driving without a valid license.
And then you have Venezuelans being caught with drugs.
There's Ukrainians actually up here that constantly do that as well. They just drive without a valid license, and some of them are actually hardcore drug addicts.
Where are they getting them from?
And the Ukrainians are very, very intelligent and skilled. They just have drug problems. Versus the illegal immigrants coming from Venezuela. They have just pure manual labor skill. That's it. And childcare skills if they're a woman. That's it. Merch says, who agrees that we should make the ones responsible pay for everything? Since the Soros Foundation, Open Borders is founding the invasion. It's only fair that they pay all the expenses the illegal aliens cost, sue them into poverty. They've indemnify themselves, making them immune from lawsuits, unfortunately, especially as it relates. They use the UN as sort of the proxy legal middleware to defeat any of these lawsuits from coming at them. And that's exactly why they use the UN, because the UN is a sovereign organization, meaning it's immune from any litigation whatsoever, unless it's litigation involving itself. Kinokia the Great says, and just has a breakdown of all these illegal immigrant numbers this year. It's way more than that. Is this per month? Because I think it was like 10 million illegal immigrants last year alone, 10 to 12 million. So this must be per month. This isn't making any sense. 3 million, that would be around 30 million. I don't know. I don't think this is accurate. Okay. It's hard to know, like, you know, fact check, verify. I wish there was a community note on it, but Kinokia did attach a video.
Control their borders. No great nation can be in a position where they can't
By the
control
way,
their borders.
you know, whenever I post something on Twitter, like, you know, the Judicial Protest account, for example, which was originally a YouTube channel, but I faced so much censorship from so many different white shoe law firms, including Dorsey & Whitney, Robbins Kaplan, the Minnesota Judicial Branch in general. And they filed fake copyright infringement report after fake copyright infringement report. And they were finally able to censor the channel. And I was literally a centimeter away from suing these people responsible for doing it, including Charlie Goki. In fact, I had the complaint written. I still have it written, by the way, and I still might, by the way. And I had everything documented. It took me a long time, actually. It took me like at least 2 days of full, like 12-hour days working to put everything together. And I decided not to, simply because there were alternatives available. And I should have sued them at that time. I should have. And I still might again. But when I put, you know, when Elon Musk bought Twitter and X, and I was able to have at least some, like, still, I mean, they cucked my account during the E. Jean Carroll case. You know, they wouldn't let any of my tweets go viral. And you can see, like, right after the E. Jean case was over, that my tweets started going, not viral, but they started to get, you know, normal traction again. Maybe someone has with Kinokia the Great, but I don't know. They haven't unveiled his true identity. Maybe he's still somewhat anonymous. Why is it people like me who they try and it's admittedly a much more difficult in the legal context to remain anonymous. So that was never my goal or intention. I just didn't want to make myself the center of it all, because I'm not, you know, I view myself as not wanting attention, actually, even though it seems like I get attention when I don't want attention. So I guess that's just how life works. But you know, who is Kinokia the Great? Like, maybe some guy out in the middle of nowhere. Who is he? I wonder if anyone has tried really hard to unveil the true identity of Kinokia. Anyways, I'll stop rambling here.
It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters
so these
for
are
drugs,
good
terror,
contrast
a whole range of other things.
Segments in this
when
video.
I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system. And I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable. especially those who may be dangerous. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If
God,
you
I
plan
hate
to
Barack
enter
Obama.
the
He's
U.S.
such a
illegally,
jackass.
your chances of getting caught and
You
sent
know,
back...
the nice thing about when Barack Obama left office is people used to always say, hey, it's Barack Verdeen.
just went up.
It's like, fuck you.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers.
Something interesting too in here. They say that, like, you know, they need a bunch of these H-1B specialized labor immigrants coming in, and we don't need those either. They carve out protections for certain classes of people, and the only reason they do that with H-1Bs is to allow billionaires, people like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, to continue to lower their costs with respect to corporate engineers. Most of them are software developers coming in or work in IT in general.
That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by
And you know,
deporting
it's not like one or two. I mean, I've worked in so many different venues as a software developer. And I've held a few different positions in the sort of software engineering lifecycle, the software development lifecycle. It's a technical name. And generally speaking, in every single one of those environments, the lowest I've ever seen is 50% Indians. That's the lowest. I mean, I've been in environments where I'm literally the only white person. There'll be 50 Indians, and I'm the only white person. And I'm in my own state. That happened actually in Milwaukee at Kohl's. I'm in my own state, even though I'm not really familiar with that part of Wisconsin, or really any part of Wisconsin beyond 20 miles from where I live, which is basically Minnesota. And I'm from Minnesota, but Wisconsin, you know. But I'm in Milwaukee, and they all view me as sort of like a naturalized, that's a poor word in this context. They see me as a natural born citizen, because I am. And we are giving, all of these guys had $100,000 plus jobs. The whole floor of Kohl's, they have a technology building, sort of like how Target has a separate technology office in Brooklyn Park, kind of by St. Louis Park, actually, by my old office of 100. And so they have this sort of like really nice technology building. You walk in there, you go through security. They have a security desk at the front, you know, so you get your badge, you go in there. A lot of they have like different sections or whatever for business people, and they're all attractive women, well dressed, you know, young attractive women from Madison or Marquette. Madison is code word for the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And then you have, to their left, a section with 150 Indian software people, mostly developers, but there's a few like people who work slightly different roles, like QA or, I don't know, doing deployment work, so like DevOps, like a couple DBAs or something, even though DBAs are dying a slow death, stuff like that. And, you know, like I'm in a room with a bunch of these Indians. They know nothing about this country. They know nothing about this state. They're getting paid over $100,000. Sometimes, if they're really young, they might get paid something like $60,000 or $70,000. And yeah, they don't get paid as much as they should. And there is a lot of third-party bullshit going on there. the American companies making money off them. But it's like these jobs could easily go to, you know, Joe Schmo in Milwaukee off the street. And it's a good job, and it's really not that hard. You know, you don't have to have a lot of skilled people to do some of those jobs. So anyways, the H-1B thing's a racket.
Aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace.
Not fair to Americans. So you have to hold employers responsible in this measure here. Hold them responsible that they have to hire Americans first. Only if there's no Americans available for the job should we be promoting the idea of bringing in extra workers, in my view.
I don't know why we need millions of people to be coming into this country as guest workers who will work for lower wages than American workers and drive wages down even lower than they are right now.
People in the country should have the first opportunity to be able to have jobs that
This is a really
pay
long
well,
video. I forgot about
and
that.
have jobs that are decent.
Okay, so
And that-
I don't know if it needs to be 11 minutes, but could have probably got this done in 2 or 3 minutes. The point was made here that Joe Biden is a fraud. He's a liar. And that this is deliberate, what they're doing at the border. Cat Turd says, shut the fuck up. I do want to play this 28
About
second
your
clip
infrastructure.
here.
The infrastructure.
You're saying now's the time to hit Iran?
Now's the time to hit their leaders. It's different. Don't go and bomb the
What
country.
about their infrastructure?
The infrastructure in Iraq and Syria. You start with that first. You do the sanctions, and you
Oh
take
my
out a
God.
couple of their leaders. That's the way
In
you
their
start.
country?
In
Oh my God. Oh my God. You want World War III.
if they're in their country, or you do like Soleimani when they left the country, you figure out where they are. Our special operations can do that, and then you take them out. That will send a message. We've got to do.
It's like, oh, they can do that. You just, you know, drop them off in one of those, you know, special operations missions. Just send a helicopter over. Just drop them in there, and they'll go and take out these Hezbollah, Iranian Revolutionary Guard leaders. They'll take out all the generals. Oh, it'll just be like magic. And then they can just go and then get extracted from Iran. You know, just magic. The world is good.
This.
It's not like they're going to retaliate. It's not like, you know, we're going to see missiles fired at U.S. military bases. It's not like they might have access to nuclear weapons. It's not like they have the ability to dismantle some of the infrastructure in the U.S., either through sleeper cells or cyber attacks or a combination thereof, or call in their Russian friends to do the same. She is just so low IQ. It's unbelievable. Hodge twins. Beheading a Satan statue is a hate crime, but tearing down a Thomas Jefferson statue is celebrated. Welcome to 2024. Now, the Iowa, for people, especially Ronan, I don't know, you're probably not listening, but for anyone who's tuning in that's not from the United States, Iowa is a very evangelical state. It's pretty conservative socially. Iowa is just south of Minnesota. It's also somewhat attached to the same area that Wisconsin is associated with. So it's kind of the top of the Midwest. It's a crown of the country. And it's been settled a lot by Germans, English, Irish. It's a farm state. It's very agricultural. And so, the fact that they would have a statue of the satanic religion, or I don't even call it a religion. I guess you can. In the Capitol, and that they would try and criminalize the individual responsible for tearing it down, when it should have been, I mean, there should be people outraged in Iowa. I'm outraged that Thomas, or sorry, his name could easily be Thomas Jefferson, that the individual who did this is getting hit with criminal charges, and he shouldn't be. You know, shame on the cops, by the way, who filed these charges against him. Shame on them. And, you know, it's symbolic of what's happening in this country, which is that it's a fight between good versus evil. And when you think about it hard enough, it just boils down to that. French farmers 5 kilometers from Paris have dismantled Central Median motorway and are now blocking both directions of traffic. We'll play this. It's a minute video. Tractor doing something, maybe just blocking traffic. Tiens, on va d'abord. I wish that we had a translation in the video.
Remettez-vous de l'autre côté. Ouais, mettez-vous de l'autre côté. Allez hop, de l'autre côté. Hop. Remettez-vous de l'autre côté. Allez hop. De l'autre côté. Tout le monde de l'autre côté. Allez hop.
Here's another video. 12 seconds. Trucks burning on the freeway here. No, that's manure burning. Good luck getting to work. Okay. Laura Loomer, Twitter files. Reporter Matt Taibbi uncovers plot to stop Trump. Democracy be damned. I don't think that's really a bombshell. I think everybody has pretty much known that for the past 7 years now. I think Matt Taibbi is trying to, I don't know what new information. I think he has to be a little more specific. Gary Lake, I just received word that 40 members of the Arizona National Guard were wounded in the attack on the base in Jordan. My thoughts are with our soldiers and their families as we pray for a quick recovery. Yes, let's pray for them. God, please let these service members recover quickly and have no lasting effects from the trauma that they experienced. Amen. Breaking news reveals a man leading a militant group urging militias to assault federal courthouses and encouraging Americans to kill federal employees after... Oh my God. Okay, well, I was going to read the rest of that, but... Just as Democrats are pushing for a bill to outlaw armed citizen militias. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, though. So this is a tweet from Zeno. I'm just reading the tweet. Those aren't my words. Epoch Times, Democrats bring bill to prohibit armed citizen militias. The attacks on any courthouse, whether it's federal or state, is wrong. And the fact that they were able to do that during the BLM-sponsored George Floyd riots at various federal courthouses around the country was wrong when it happened, and it's still wrong now. And I believe that a lot of the individuals who were rioting were not charged criminally, which they should have been. And, you know, meanwhile, the January 6th defendants were all basically thrown in solitary confinement. So there you go. Just another way to weaken any resistance to global tyranny. Breaking. Significant gas pipeline has exploded, releasing massive flames hundreds of feet into the sky. Currently, numerous emergency crews and authorities are on site in Elmwood, Oklahoma, responding to a significant uncontrolled gas pipeline explosion. Massive flames can be seen over 30 miles away, with flames reaching hundreds of feet in the air and igniting farm fields. Officials are urging everyone to avoid the area. Cause of the fire and explosion remains unclear, and an investigation is underway. Probably industrial hacking of some sort, I'm imagining. I mean, they could just hack these industrial facilities and break in through those programmable logic controllers fairly easily. And talk about pollution, talk about climate change. The hacking sponsored by, you know, the WEF, basically, in one way or another, and these foreign governments and the US government, whether it's an inside job. They don't care about climate change. They're probably the ones doing it. All right. And we're done. I think we got a couple of these actually in here. Yes, we do. Okay. Chuck Calesto, just an absolutely massive uncontained gas pipeline explosion in Beaver County, Oklahoma. Flames purportedly visible as far as 30 miles. Kind of the same video sequence. 24-second clip here. I don't know what this guy is doing. I guess he's spraying down some chemical, or oh, there's flames in the ground here that he's putting out. It's pretty dangerous to be doing that. All right. Trump administration official Mike Gill is critically ill after being shot during carjacking in D.C. It's a diversity carjacking. Libs of TikTok. A homeless shelter was set up next to an elementary school in Beaverton, Oregon. Students are subjected to constant disturbances from the shelter, including overdoses, drugs, and assaults. A mom slammed the city in a letter after a homeless man lit himself on fire in front of the school windows this week. What the hell? Every single day, thousands, hundreds of kids are put in danger because mentally ill people are housed near them. The mayor is Lacey Beatty. She hasn't done anything despite many complaints. You can email the mayor and city council here. 2 screenshots of what appear to be either some sort of newsletter notification or an article explaining that there's an allegation that exists that a homeless man set himself on fire in front of a window. Now, you would imagine that mothers may be exaggerating some of these events because they want to get the homeless away from the schools. Nonetheless, whether or not this is true, which it's likely true, you would, you know, the whole idea of having a homeless camp on the campus of an elementary school is just beyond. I mean, I guess it's 2024 though, so. Remember the days when you were young, and you can remember those days when you were in school at that age and you had like a full playground, you know, no trash on the ground, cleaned up. You had the volunteer parents who usually mothers who'd come out and watch the kids, you know. So it was always women watching the kids during recess. You know, you never have anything like this. You never have a homeless camp in the parking lot of your school. Not a chance. E. Jean bouncing. In the 90s, Donald Trump was the most famous New Yorker. This woman wants you to believe that he raped her in a department store across the street from his building. Do you think he would have risked everything to have sex with this woman? The video is a clip of E. Jean bouncing on an exercise ball.
I promise you, babe, balls. If you get rid of your chair at work, sit on a ball, you'll burn more calories, you'll work your core. Excellent for the old bath. But here's the thing. It will decrease your cellulite. 7 or 8 weeks from now, you're going to have the size of a 4-year-old. I have blue balls all over my house. I promise you, babe, balls.
No, he didn't. This woman is nuts. Another picture of this Oklahoma gas explosion. This is Palestine, Ohio, all over again, except it's not a train derailment. Where is, where are federal officials here? Where's FEMA? Take Jamaica off your wanderlust list. With 65 murders in January alone and increasing sexual assaults at resorts, Americans are urged to reconsider travel plans to Jamaica. Source, U.S. Department of Travel. There's 2 pictures here. One is beautiful beach in Jamaica, and then the second picture is of sort of like a crime scene in the hood of Kingston, probably. The ghetto of Kingston. What appears to be someone who was violently attacked. Unusual Whales tweeted, just in Yemen's Houthis have fired missiles at a U.S. warship, per AFP. The Houthis, I mean, it is really kind of a cute name, right? Houthi. You know, I'll give them that. I think Russell Brand said something that was really interesting and struck with me as well. That we're being told to hate these Houthis. We don't know anything about them. Who knows who the Houthis are? I don't know. They have a cool name. I guess they're trying to stand up for Palestine by blocking some of the naval passages there to kind of perform maybe a soft, loose blockade or embargo or something of some of the ships that potentially could be delivering supplies to Israel. But yeah, good point. The money printer is about to get turned on. World War Bull is inbound. Wall Street Silver says layoffs have been popping up left and right lately. I'm sure economy is still doing great though. Our future robot overlords are even taking a hit today. It's a screenshot of a CBC article, and it reads, Amazon terminates iRobot deal. Roomba maker to lay off 31% of its staff. They always lay off salespeople first. The last people that these software companies always lay off typically is like from iRobot I'm talking about, would be the actual developers and the executives. BlackRock has all the real estate. Bill Gates has all the farmland. Mark Zuckerberg has all the data. JP Morgan has all the cash. It's a big club and you ain't in it. MAGA is now the largest and most powerful political party in America. We will restore this country to its original status as a constitutional republic, as opposed to what the traitor Democrats have done. Bad grammar there, but that's okay. Chuck Colesto, late-breaking articles of impeachment against Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to move forward. House Committee on Homeland Security just voted to advance. Should Mayorkas be impeached? MTG.
A recorded vote is requested. The clerk will call the roll.
3-minute video here.
Aye. Mr. McCall votes aye. Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins votes aye. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest votes aye.
We don't need to hear all the ayes.
Mr. Bishop.
Sad day. No.
Ms. Jackson Lee votes no. Mr. Payne.
No.
All the
Mr. Payne
Democrats
votes
vote no.
Mr. Swalwell.
No.
Mr. Goldman. Mr. Menendez votes no.
Chair votes aye.
Chairman Green votes aye.
The clerk will report the tally.
On that vote, Chairman Green, it was 18 ayes and 15 noes.
18
The ayes
to
have it,
15.
and the motion is agreed to. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Without objection.
Okay, so what does this mean? I don't know. I guess this means that it moves forward and then it goes into regular Congress out of committee. And there's going to be a hearing on it. Evidence is presented, and then the entire House votes on it. Because there's a majority in the House right now, you would imagine that it's likely going to pass, and then it gets moved to the Senate. This is where I need to check. I'm not sure exactly if there's an actual trial for Mayorkas or not. I don't think there is. I think there's just another sort of evidentiary hearing, and then there's a vote on it. Now, because there's a 50-50 tie or whatever, right, in the Senate, and Kamala Harris holds the tie-breaking vote, that you wouldn't imagine that Mayorkas would get totally impeached, but it's possible. Definitely possible. Especially if you get one Democrat to go rogue here. Like Joe Manchin. If Joe Manchin voted to impeach Mayorkas, game over. Farmers set highway on fire. Is it arson or a protest? I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's gonna maybe catch that bridge on fire, which could be really, really dangerous. I don't know, not a good idea to push that under the bridge. I think this is where it becomes arson. Here's more video. French farmers plow highway in ongoing protests. Okay, so they're laying topsoil on the actual highway. They're having a barbecue, support the farmers, yeah. Well done, well done, well done. Depends on us, yes, CNN, peaceful demonstration. Oh, here's a picture of, what's his face from CNN, talking about a mostly peaceful protest. This is a picture, I believe, from the George Floyd riots in Minneapolis. It's either that or it was in Wisconsin, I forget. Radio Genoa. Video. Paris, I don't know.
Paris inte. Frumos la Paris.
Okay, and the video is showing
Which is frumos, diciamo. La
a
Paris.
bunch of
Paris.
Middle Eastern or African immigrants on the street.
Unde suntem aici, mă? În Paris.
Looks like a ghetto.
În Paris suntem.
It's just sad.
Frumos la Paris.
And this is Paris. I wonder why the farmers are protesting. The French regime faces a nationwide siege of transport traffic, which is aimed to get control by the farmers. The map shows the current locations of blocked highways in France. Wow, that's pretty congested, huh? Hard to get stuff shipped through. Got those same videos of some of these trucks being dumped by the farmers and set on fire. They got some English-speaking French commenting. We're seeing here in the south of France in terms of trucks not being able to deliver foodstuffs, stocking up. Okay, so going to the grocery store and they're making sure they have enough food for a couple weeks in the event that this continues forward. The world is talking to us and we're not listening. Here's an interesting tweet by Drewski, Seeking Anon. See, I'm not sure because Twitter has been changing a little bit here. If this, I'm assuming he's replying to this, but I've occasionally seen like just random tweets in these threads. He says, a lot of stuff isn't resonating with me anymore to the point of feeling the pull of entirely disassociating myself from its existence. Like paying taxes, having a 9-to-5 job, anything in the news, politicians, physician and dentist appointments. Ooh, that's bad. College, influencers, pop stars, famous people. It's like every fiber of my being is resonating and screaming for things that display spirit. And yet all I find are empty synthetic shells of systems doing nothing but taking and doing nothing for the soul, but starving it. Anyone else? It's a weird long form tweet, but I'm hearing that more and more from people. I'm hearing it like on Tucker Carlson, from people like Russell Brand. I'm hearing it from Tucker Carlson. I'm hearing it just from a lot of non-lamestream or mainstream media commentary, that they're feeling like almost this pull towards God, like the veil is being pulled back a little bit. And you're seeing more and more of it. Like evil is creeping in, but at the same time, faith is getting stronger and stronger. So, could be. I think there's a worldwide independence movement that is now just fully getting sort of positioned for 2024. And I think in some ways this is the soft resistance to a global war. Juanita Broderick. So basically, the people who claim Trump would crash the economy and start World War III have crashed the economy and started World War III. Yep, that's what they said for 4 years, day in and day out. The same ones all over mainstream media again, repeating the same mantra. Doesn't work, does it? People are fully aware. When did the economy crash? My stocks are doing amazing, and I have more money now than I have before. Yes, they did it. 14 million jobs, fastest GDP growth in decades. Accelerating wage growth, 30 trillion increase in household wealth. The American economy is booming. Is it? I don't think so, Prince Up. I think this is a bot. I've seen this guy before. I mean, we've never seen the kinds of layoffs we're seeing right now. Inflation is wildly out of control. No one can buy a house. A lot of the numbers in those markets are simply because of inflation. Okay, a lot of people are saying the economy is strong. I disagree. Ian Miles Chong says, attempted carjacking by cartel members. One thing I dislike about Twitter is that these videos start right away. Wish there was at least some sort of setting here where you could, maybe there is, no there isn't, that you could change that so that when you click into this tab here, it doesn't immediately start playing the video. Anyways, it's very minor. Attempted carjacking by cartel members. Biden is letting these people in by the tens of thousands. How soon before this becomes normal in your neighborhood? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I hear some pops. Cartel. Uh-oh. Holy shit. These are the illegal immigrants they're letting in that are tied to these cartels. Oh, they're banging on the truck. That's what they're doing.
The cartel.
Okay. Bunch of young guys. Lights are off. Not a good sign in that truck. Trying to block them in. I don't know, this is weird. It's almost like this is a cop or something because you can hear kind of this thing in the video. I don't know if that's... I don't know. Oh, this is actually in Mexico. Alright, so Ian Miles Chong is being a little bit... Okay, I guess not, but... Okay, the type of cartel violence you only hear about in Mexico is now in Southern California. Old video, not in US. Whatever. Treason. Treason.
Some of you may be aware that we received a letter from our
Okay,
state
so this is a city near Chicago, Glen Ellen, Illinois. This looks like City Hall. This is the chief of police in that particular city. And he is stating in his presentation here for potentially, I don't know if it's illegal women voters or what. Maybe it's just up there because that's, you know, they're just feminist cops that just take any allegation from women and try and arrest, you know, citizens for things that are not crimes on behalf of women who make allegations. Says $11 million is on the line in exchange for permanent migrant residency. How many cities are being bribed with millions of dollars? Okay, let's play this.
So now I get to ask.
Now you go right ahead.
All right, so.
Now, I don't know
go back
when
to
this
one of the
was.
slides. Some of you may be aware that we received a letter from our state representative, Tara Costa Howard.
Okay, so they
advising
received a
us that
letter
there was
from
a
their state
grant money that was being
representatives.
Made available from the state to settle migrants in Glen Ellen.
Okay, money being made
There's $11
available
million
from the
that
state of Illinois.
has. You can come back over here. You can-
You know, when they get these funding letters, they get really excited. Oh, I have $11 million to play around with, and maybe I can, you know, pad my own budget. Maybe I can pad my own salary.
$11 million that the village that made available to municipalities. My question to you, what do you think we should do?
Leave it alone.
Go ahead, David, say it.
Leave it alone. I
Okay.
can't afford myself.
All right.
I love this.
Reject the
town.
money?
It's a beautiful town. I've been blessed. to
Don't
be
have
here in this
migrants in your town?
I've worked on some of the most beautiful.
That's
houses
exactly
I've
what they're doing to
ever
incentivize this
encountered.
madness.
I've done it for
Exactly.
40
And
years,
it's
and-
dipshits like this guy who's the chief of police, presumably. Maybe he's the mayor. I don't know. The podium there has a badge of the chief of police, so you don't know. But it's dipshits like this who are allowing this madness to continue. Why not just reject the money?
I'd like to see the high-end home and the high class of our neighborhood stay the same.
Particularly in Chicago. I mean, you would imagine that they would have full view of what's going on in Chicago with all these illegal migrants
Anyone
sleeping on the
else
street in
have a-
city
go ahead.
parks, in police stations.
Temporary shelter, or are we talking about,
Again, this is migrant abuse. How about this? Take the $11 million and shove it up your fucking ass.
you're talking about permanent?
Right, but.
Again,
you know,
it's like, you know, people have no
which is-
principles, particularly when it comes to money. Like, what happened to just principles over money? What happened to that? And, you know, okay, so $11 million. How about build shelter for the migrants in their home country? How about build shelter for homeless people or homeless veterans in Chicago, for veterans of various American wars? How about that?
Maybe you need for temporary before you get permanent. And
How about use the $11 million to reduce property taxes for residents?
how that works, I'm interested. But I have no idea how to.
Fucking assholes.
That would be $11 million, is that what's the restriction or the requirement of accessing?
What kind of name, by the way, is Glen Ellen,
There was an article.
Illinois? That's a weak city name.
And there had been outreach to.
Sure, it's a nice family.
I was just at
I don't mean to insult them by any means. Probably founded this town and probably don't want anything to do with this, but I didn't mean it in that way.
They too are chief of police in Wheaton, 0 incidents.
That's a red flag to me to see a police department
Bus drops.
here, city hall, whatever it is,
People get on the train, they go, so.
and have a League of
You
Women
understand
Voters
what I
sign
believe
behind the
$11
podium.
million is for is to have migrants come to Glen Ellen and locate here and settle here and remain here. And what that would entail to accomplish that. Go ahead again.
Sorry, if someone else wants to say something, do it. But to me, it seems like this is a conversation that needs to take place,
So now I get to ask. the
Now
question.
you go right ahead.
All right, so if we go back to one of the slides, some of you may be aware that we received a letter from our state representative, Tara Costa Howard, advising us that there was a grant money that was being made available from the state to settle migrants in Glen Ellen. There's $11 million that the state has. You can come back over here. You can. $11 million that the village that made available to municipalities. My question to you, what do you think we should do?
Leave it alone.
Go ahead, David, say it.
Leave it alone. I
Okay.
can't afford myself.
All right.
I love this town. It's a beautiful town. I've been blessed to be a carpenter in this town. I've worked on some of the most beautiful houses I've ever encountered. I've done it for 40 years, and I'd like to see the high-end home and the high class of our neighborhoods stay the same. This is our country, not theirs.
Fair enough. Anyone else go ahead.
I just have a question. Is this in regard to temporary shelter? Or are we talking about, providing homes? So we're talking about temporary shelter.
We're talking about permanent residency.
You're talking about permanent.
Right, but, it's an interesting point, which is, there may be a need for temporary before you get permanent. And how that works, I'm interested. But I have no idea how to accomplish
Is
this.
that with the $11 million, is that what's the restriction or the requirement?
Hard to hear the audio
of
here.
accessing those dollars for municipality? So there was an article just today that I read in the Tribune, and there had been outreach to municipalities.
Yep.
I was just
Breaking
at
up a little
the city
bit.
council meeting on Monday night because they're working through some mechanism around, responses. They too are the chief of police in Wheaton, 0 incidents, monitoring, no public resources used.
His eyes light up too when he hears that he's going to receive $11 million.
Now, you understand what I believe the $11 million is for, is to have migrants come to Glen Ellen and locate here and settle here.
So they're going to get settled. So the key terminology here in whatever letter was sent, and he's highlighting it, is that they're going to settle in Glen Ellen.
Remain here, and what that would entail to accomplish that. Go ahead again.
Sorry, if someone else wants to say something, do it. But to me, it seems like this is a conversation that needs to take place,
It's funny too, because this mayor, police chief of Glen Ellen is proposing this message to women that are coming through this League of Women Voters speaker session, whatever it is, and not proposing it also to the larger community. And so why is that? Well, it's because women probably are going to be more receptive towards sheltering illegal immigrants rather. Another tweet. Well, actually, I want to go back to some of the comments here. That's it. That it is. Okay, there isn't a ton of comments. Let's see if there's. I've got some comments here. I thought that they were coming here to work. Why do they need 11 million to support them? And that's our damn money too. They have trillions of dollars to spend. Let's see if we get any really good comments here. Okay, so someone says it's a bribe and that it would be in violation of this federal statute. All the NGOs need to be arrested. That's why I moved from Illinois. Where's all this money coming from? Which government agencies or departments have this in their budgets? This is frightening. Oh my God, cities are going to crumble. Yes, they are. Okay, this is Nah Baby Nah. Who wants to join me on the next boat out? Boat intercepted off the Texas coast. The Navy intercepted a boatload of people off the Texas coast today. This placed the Navy in an awkward position as the boat was not heading to the USA, but towards Mexico and Central America. Another surprise finding was the people were white American retirement age seniors. Their claim was that they were trying to get to Central America or Southern Mexico as they wanted to return to the US as legal immigrants. Then they would be entitled to far more benefits than they were receiving as legitimate American retirees. It is believed the Navy gave them food, water, and fuel and assisted them on their journey. Sounds like a parody meme, but nonetheless interesting, even though it's fake. An office building just sold at a shocking 83% discount to what it last sold for. The Xerox building in the Washington, D.C. area sold for $25 million, or $83 per square foot. What did the 300 square foot tower last sell for? $145 million in 2011, acquired by investment firm TIAA. The building is reportedly at least approximately 38% vacant. Washington, D.C.'s commercial real estate market has gone from scary to cataclysmic, and there's no signs of the trouble slowing down anytime soon. It's a nice building there. Okay, so let me just sold for $25 million, 83% discount for what it sold for in 2011. Well, okay, so maybe the building depreciated a little bit considering that it has significant maintenance issues. I mean, there could be ulterior or alternative reasons behind why there was a price decrease. I mean, it just looks like a normal building, right? A commercial building in DC, anywhere in the country. Nothing special about it. I mean, it's worth a lot of money. Yeah, $25 million or $145 in 2011. But to go from 145 down to 25 is a serious decrease. I mean, even if there was a major structural issue in the building, you would think it would be worth more than that. And if this is also consistent with what some of these other buildings potentially would sell for in the real estate market, in this commercial real estate market, in this particular local area in DC, like that neighborhood, and the neighborhood next to it, it's probably a bad term to use with respect to commercial real estate neighborhood, but that sort of street versus that street next to it. If you're seeing the same kind of rates here, 83% discount, I wonder if this is a way to launder money. You really think, especially in DC, with just a bunch of defense contractors, this is unusual, 83% discount. So whenever you see something like this, I think red flags need to be thrown up and reviewed. More scary is whatever commercial mortgage-backed securities that $145 million is probably packaged into as fractionalized collateral for who knows how many derivatives. Can't imagine that 120 million that just vaporized supports under 1 billion of derivative swaps and rehypothecations. I can almost high-five that building from my balcony. If it's 38% vacant, that's a shockingly low number. There are 5 to 10 offices with their lights on in that entire property. The building will be demolished and turned to apartments when government leases are up in 3 years. Oh, interesting. So it's kind of contingent on government leases. That is wild. That is a huge loss. I'm guessing the building was financed and the monthly losses were simply untenable. I have a good feeling that this building will be converted into apartments. Recent data shows 88% year-over-year growth in commercial building to apartment conversions in DC, converting nearly 6K commercial units to apartments. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, who wants to live in a commercial building that was originally built to be offices that suddenly turns into apartments? It's not that quaint. You don't have some of the other benefits that are already built into the building. You're in the middle of DC. Who wants to really live in the middle of DC unless you're a total moron? Even living on the outskirts, like some of the counties nearby in Virginia, prices are skyrocketing for rentals. And who would want to even live in that area to commute every day into DC, into the capital? It's just, it's an exercise in frustration. Who is taking the hit on all these fire sales? Hedge funds, investors, retail investors who invest in certain REITs. Oof, small, mostly vacant office buildings, condos in adjacent county are being listed at more than 5 times price of square foot, PSF. Mostly vacant. Well, I guess now is the time you have just a bunch of money to buy some of these buildings. Got to get people back in the office. Profits demand it. I mean, our company culture and team collaboration needs it. Well, there's an interesting thing about being in the office. And being someone who is 40 and has had a lot of experience working in a traditional office setting, in my field, you can do a lot of the work remotely, it's true. And it is nice. However, you do get to learn a lot about other people simply by being in an office with them, talking with them every single day, learning skills on the job, learning how they do their particular tasks, and you can benefit from that a little bit, and then they can benefit from you if they watch you. There's a lot of sort of like, you know, communication, nonverbal communication you learn based on what they're doing. You see what they're doing when they're not totally focused on a work task. You go out to eat with those people, so you get to see what they are like socially and how they treat others, like waitresses or waiters. There's a whole host of things that you learn about these individuals, which you never get from remote work. So I think, you know, the key really is to kind of be hybrid here. I like working in an office, and I like also having flexibility. So ugly building, subpar location, lots of potential. They'll just turn it into multifamily housing and let the taxpayers finance new arrivals to live here. Huge upside, convert to housing. Did Evergrande own it? Government workers are the last group to go back to the office, are they? That's interesting. Maybe that's why I'm not in the office. Anyone know the whale and yield it sold on? Immigrant shelter. That's fugly. Watch out below. Giving these away at this point. Yeah, right. I'll take it. 300 square foot tower. What? 300 square foot. Classic Nuveen. Is it considered fraud when private equity firms refuse to mark down assets? Who should be held responsible? The CEO, the appraiser, or institutional shareholders? Convert this into apartments and price you'll be plus 150% backup. DC, try NYC next. Well, that's interesting. That's a good point. So, like, what are the buildings selling at discount for in New York City, in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, even in Queens? Dirt cheap. 25 million bucks, dirt cheap. If you had 25 friends, if you were kind of maybe a 50-year-old guy, you've been working a long time, let's say you have $1 million saved, and you know 25 other good friends who also have, you know, about $1 million saved. You get them together, get an investment group, and you buy that building, and then you take out a loan, a mortgage on the building. Well, I guess you don't even need 25. I mean, you just buy it for $5 million, right? And then you have $5 million to remodel the building. And then you get some tenants in there and you start making some cash. The way that I do things, I always just buy things outright with cash, including buildings and real estate. That's how my brain works, and cars too. Like, I don't try not to take out any loans of any type. So I would just buy it outright and just try and come up with another $5 million to remodel the building and turn it into some sort of, like, I don't know, whatever you want to do to generate some money. That is kind of a fire sale, though. Built in 1974, so what? It's probably got a lot of good mechanicals in there. Especially if you updated it. I mean, there's so much technology you could infuse into that building right now. There's just a lot of controls that I think you could place in there. If you wanted to turn it into a residential unit, you could really, really do some amazing work in there. You know, talk about the Trump organization, you could just basically do the same thing that President Trump did for so long, you know, remodel the building, turn it into something really amazing, and then, you know, boom, magic, good to go. I used to work in that building, says Lydia Roth. What the fuck? Oh, this is the Louisiana Superdome being imploded. Remember that during Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, when all those residents escaping the flood and the hurricane went to the Superdome, and then they just tore it down like nothing. All right, enough with this. Sorry. Leading report breaking: Vivek Ramaswamy calls for all congressmen to be required to disclose whether they're dual citizens of a foreign nation. Well, interesting. Interesting. Is Ilhan Omar a dual citizen of Somalia and the United States? Probably. Good point here. I'm pretty sure all of Congress has a dual citizenship with Ukraine. Okay. While you may have been asleep, House Republicans voted early today to advance impeachment articles against Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, edging closer to a full House vote over his handling of the southern border. Simon Atiba got about 29,000 views on it. Watched that video already. Should have happened 3 years ago. Yes, it should have. It's kind of late. Yeah, it is late. Of course. Don't do shit until it really matters. Can you hear my Minnesota accent through this post? This is a hot dish. Tater tot hot dish. You from Minnesota? You got some hot dish there? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Olga made it. Sven and Olga made some hot dish. You going out to the curling club? You gonna go do some cross country skiing from Minnesota? Oh yeah. That's what tater tot hot dish looks like. Makes me hungry just looking at this. This is the insanity of homeowners insurance right now. My 83-year-old owner has a slab leak at her home we manage. She filed a claim because repair costs are approximately $14K and some change. Her agent called me today and said, just so you're aware, they'll cancel her probably by September. It's happening everywhere. And to add insult to injury, it's doubtful they'll cover it anyways, so it's 100% a loss, a lose-lose. She'll have to write a check to the plumbing company and be left with zero coverage by anyone. This is my owner's first claim on this house in 25 years. How did things get this twisted? Speaking of reading all this stuff, I forget that I'm getting older and older. Like, I'm in my 40s, and even though I may not look like it, my eyes are getting worse and worse. And my eyes have always been really, really bad. I think I had glasses when I was like 10 or 12 years old, and I've worn contacts ever since. Thank God I've been able to wear contacts. And I'm near legally blind, actually. I have like 25/50 vision. I think 2600 is legally blind. I've always pretty much had between 24/50 and 25/50 vision for the last 20, 30 years. It's always been bad. So I can see clearly, of course, when I have vision correction, but my, getting older, I'm also slowing down a little bit. So like I can't read through this stuff like I used to, like really, really quickly and get everything super correct. So I have to slow down a little bit. That's what I've realized. Anyways, but that's just normal when you get older. Okay, so this elderly woman presumably is having her insurance nullified, even though she's paid her premiums for 25 years. Because insurance companies, I think, are in the hole for many, many different reasons. I don't know why it would relate to homeowners insurance, but at the same time, it's all just a way for these hedge funds to take small amounts of money from lots of people over a long period of time and then use that money to sort of leverage this tyranny against us, whether it's ESG or censorship on basically anything we do, paying for all the wars that we're fighting in, all the payoffs to politicians, and the scam of this type of insurance where this woman can't even file one claim, even though it's presumably a valid claim. It gets pretty ridiculous. So I'm just trying to figure out, what is the solution? Is it the blockchain? I mean, is there some sort of blockchain insurance where they can't change the policy on you after the fact retroactively? You're pretty much locked in, and that you would then be able to get whatever amount of money you need in order to fix this mechanical issue or the slab issue. I don't know what a slab leak is. I guess that's because the foundation is leaking. There's a crack in maybe the concrete surrounding or whatever that sort of forms the basis of the foundation of the home. And to get that fixed, I mean, $14,000 seems a little high. You could probably get that done for around 10 grand, but nonetheless, I mean, they're going to have to dig out part of the side near the foundation in order to go in there and repair it. I am not a fan of dealing with adjusters, not even a little bit. I always do that first, have them on speed dial. And what was a first, my tenant's son was visiting when it happened and knew exactly what to do, pulled up carpet and put industrial fans in place immediately. Talking about a flood, okay. Okay, sounds like you're in Florida. Now, I've actually heard this from a couple people who have property in Florida where insurance coverage, especially close to inlets or next to bodies of water, whether that's near the ocean or some of the inlets that come in, they have zero flood insurance, and insurance in general is pretty spotty. And especially during that hurricane that kind of came through last year, I was just talking to a guy who was from Chicago but had property in Florida, and he was telling me he lost everything in that hurricane. And the mainstream news was reporting that only 15 or 20 people had died during the hurricane because they were mostly elderly retired people that stayed in their home during this. But he said, no, that's not true. It was easily 2,000 people who died. He was down there himself. He saw a couple of his friends died. And, he saw just bodies lined up, and it was way, way more than that. And he said he didn't think that the mainstream media wanted it reported out because of other reasons. And he didn't necessarily stipulate what those reasons were, but he just said it seemed to be really, really all strange. Okay, so she's saying this is in California. So she still filed the claim, and she wishes that she would have pushed harder for her. Well, I guess you could sue the insurance company, but legal fees themselves are probably going to cost easily $14,000. So it's a lose-lose. Get 2 to 3 bids. Interesting. Okay. This woman is definitely on this. I mean, it's nice to have a neighbor. I'm assuming that this woman who had the actual claim is kind of an elderly woman, and so she's relying on this other neighbor here, Carol Mack, to help her. So, I mean, it's nice to have a nice neighbor who's willing to help out here and, you know, help her navigate this whole process if they trust each other, which presumably they do. Okay, so she's definitely like replying to all this stuff. There's a lot of people who are really up to date on all this claim stuff. Wow, okay. So this guy, Mark Randazza, says, I had a claim that paid $15K for the damage. Came time to renew my policy, so they jacked the annual coverage up by $10K. Why bother making the claim in the first place? No, that's a great point. So they'll get you on the back end, right? They'll just tack on, in order to recoup the amount of money they paid out on the next policy, forcing you to find another insurance company. And then because they share information, because it's all a cabal, it's ridiculous that they share information like they do. I mean, it's just, talk about the Department of Justice. They should have went in and hit them with some sort of like antitrust claim. A lot of these huge insurance companies, because the way that they share data and information for the claims and stuff, and this is getting the same way with Big Pharma. Like, you go, you see a doctor, the doctor has a full history of what you've been prescribed through the PDMP in a lot of these states. Not to, you know, it's not like these people are trying to lie, but at the same time, I mean, you see one doctor, you see another doctor, they know exactly what you're taking. And what they do is now they're scheduling every drug, every single medication in order for it to be tracked in the PDMP. Not because it's a dangerous medication. They would put Tylenol on the PDMP if they could. So now basically every single medication that you could possibly take, it's classified as a scheduled drug in order for doctors and healthcare teams to invade your privacy, determine what you're taking, and, you know, they wrap it in the same thing that they wrap everything else in. It's for your safety, you know, it's yada, yada, yada. And it's really not. It's really for them to control what you do. And with the claim process, it's getting to be the same way. What I've noticed is these insurance companies, if you sign up for car insurance, they have systems in place to determine what you were previously paying. And more importantly, not so much that, but they definitely do have systems in place to determine whether or not you've had previous claims. Because they're sharing that information, and they shouldn't be sharing it. It's probably unlawful for them to do. And I'm surprised that the Department of Justice haven't really gone after a lot of these huge insurance companies in antitrust lawsuits or whatever other claims are available. And tried to crack down on some of this stuff, you know, go after them civilly. Because, you know, in a capitalist system, if you're claiming that, the reason that insurance companies, if you look historically at this, that insurance companies became so powerful in the United States is because they managed a lot of these crises that happened, like the San Francisco Great Fire, I believe in the early 1900s, like 1906. The whole city burned down because it was built of wood. All these buildings had no fire codes. The technology at the time, they didn't treat the wood so it wouldn't burn. And so the fire would spread really easily, and there were no fire barriers, no firewalls between neighborhoods and streets. And so when they had to rebuild San Francisco, they put in a lot of these firewalls, these codes in these municipal codes to allow for fire breaks between streets. And they also required that certain foundations were built with steel that wouldn't burn. And there were other, strategies that they employed back then when they rebuilt the city from 1908 or 1906 from the point of the fire, whenever it was, to, through the 1940s, really, and after the World War. And insurance companies, tons of them went bankrupt in San Francisco and around the country. And I think the federal government got involved. I could be wrong here, and mandated that a lot of these homeowners in San Francisco and other places that were subject to these huge events had to have homeowners insurance of some sort to protect against these kinds of losses in the future, which makes sense. That's common sense, right? But I think it became manipulated at some point and in some way that now they're able to basically lobby Congress and write their own regulatory environment, literally, and then pick and choose what they're actually going to cover. And they'll get you in any which way. And the average person here, like Mark Randazza, brings up a great point. I'm assuming, he's got the Italian, he's got the Brazilian flag, he's got the American flag. They'll get you. Deb says, same thing has been going on for decades. You pay faithfully year after year for decades. First claim, canceled. No other company will pick it up because you filed the claim. It's a scam that we continue to feed. Now, is the solution ripping down insurance companies completely? No. But is the solution minimizing their scam? Yes. Because we don't want, gotta fix the microphone here, sorry. Got a little twitchy there. We don't want major crises to go unaddressed with respect to people getting compensated. That's how you wind up in situations like Maui, right? In that fire last year. There we go. Sometimes I get twitchy. I don't know what that is. I guess I could just have a lot of anxiety. I got twitchy and I hit the monitor arm here, the mic arm. For the mic, you can't see it. Maybe you can. Oh, maybe, yeah, right there. Let's see. Forget the name of it right now. That's the. It's an Austrian company that makes this mic. It's called the. Oh no, that's not it. It's a $500 mic, and probably was a little bit of a mistake. Probably could have just bought the Elgato. We have a Blue Yeti here that works really well as well. Could have just used that, but for whatever reason, I bought this expensive mic. It's a little bit too sensitive. I don't know. Fight for coverage. Many claims are paid that are originally denied coverage. My experience as a former property adjuster and attorney. Usually the cost to repair the plumbing part is not covered, but any resulting damage in finding the leak is covered. Now, this is a good comment too. I love this stuff. Especially when women post housing issues, you get a lot of other women who chime in. For whatever reason, they like to help each other. And they have a lot of good information here, especially this domain expertise from Sil. She used to be an adjuster and she's an attorney. So she's dealt with a lot of these issues, and you bring out a good point here that the plumbing part may not be covered. I don't know. I love this stuff. My policy head goes crazy. I love it. It's kind of like coding for me. Oh, whoa. I wonder what Engeron just issued. You saw the trending hashtag for Engeron. I wonder if he just issued his decision in the Manhattan civil fraud trial. We'll have to look at that. Hold on. I'll use my other screen here to do that. Homeowners insurance is awful. And I just got a letter from my car insurance company letting me know there may be a 40% hike in our monthly insurance premium based on a proposal here in the state of New Jersey. What is happening? This is from Maria Afsharian. Maria Afsharian. Car insurance companies are notorious for doing this. Car insurance companies are like 30% dealing with regulatory agencies and state law. And then 20% building systems that share data between other insurance companies and sort of other insurance gateways. And there's reinsurance companies that people aren't really aware of. But this is where people like Warren Buffett have made a lot of money off of. He's got a company called, for example, Resolute Management. It's a reinsurance company that provides claims reinsurance for certain asbestos-related injuries, especially as it relates to maintenance workers in the airline industry. But reinsurance are basically like the huge pools of money that these insurance companies actually pay into as their sort of own unilateral form of insurance. So it gives them access to this massive pool of money in the event that something comes through and is so catastrophic and they need more liquidity. It's almost like, you know, a bailout. I'm going to just quickly check this other Engeron news. I wonder if he issued his decision. We'll play my reaction live to it. Or should I say, I wonder if Allison Greenfield issued the decision. They're going to try and hide some massive news behind this impeachment. Okay, so Engoron has indicated that he wants to come to a decision by January 31st, so today. He's going to file and release his decision today at some point. We'll see. Allison Greenfield is probably looking for all of her typos right now. She's notorious for just issuing decisions with a bunch of typos and messed up text. Anyways, okay, anyways, yeah. Close that. Insurance now is nothing more than what people used to pay the mafia for protection. Pay but get nothing in return. Simple. My insurance tried to drop me after a claim, but they didn't give me the state required 60-day notice. So I filed a complaint and got them to reinstate for this year. But next year, who knows? right now. Had a court case get filed. We got it fixed. Canceled me. Yep. Interesting. There's a lot of discrimination in insurance, isn't there? Wonder why that is. This is AJ for Freedom. I agree. Insurance industry is becoming almost as corrupt as pharmaceutical industry. My homeowner's insurance increased 45% this year. I called for other quotes, but all about the same. I have no mortgage, yet they dictate value of my property based on their calculations. Not logical. Craziness under all insurance issued for appreciating assets. We just had a crazy experience after a car accident that was 100% the other party's fault. Well, car wrecks are no fault in so many different states that they just fuck you every which way with those. This guy doesn't know what a slab leak is? Yeah, see? Come on, man. You look like you're a man. Do some research on your own, bro. You should know that. Oh, someone put oh. Here's an example, okay. Okay, so this guy gave a really helpful picture showing how they hacked a solution together using plastic packs. See, this is the stuff we really should be talking about, is insurance claims over all the lawfare that so many Americans are now subject to, including President Trump, including, you know, Alex Jones. Is Tucker Carlson next? Who knows? I mean, they'll probably roll some woman out in a wheelchair and say that Tucker Carlson raped her when he was in middle school, and now Tucker Carlson can't have his own media platform. I mean, this is how crazy this stuff is going to get. Whereas this is kind of the stuff we should be talking about, right? We should be working, we should be building, we should be productive. How productive is lawfare? It replaces productivity with a bureaucrat, a lawyer, a judge, someone working for a court. And how productive are all of those roles? They're not productive in any way whatsoever. The government really isn't productive. What is the government doing? What is the military doing? I mean, not productive in any way. It's not making money. It's not really paying off the debt of this country. In fact, it's actually increasing it. People can see these are the things that people bond together over because they've had similar experiences and they have solutions and they like to complain about it. And yeah, so this is kind of, you know, this is how you get people unified. It's almost like, you know, I love watching occasionally. I used to watch it more. I should probably watch it today. I'm going to turn it on. This Old House, famous show on PBS. Love that show. Building. Everybody loves building. Smells like fraud. Why does it seem every company is out to get the American people? When will the people come first? This is happening all over the US. Companies are canceling home policies and for low or no reason, up to and including pulling out of states altogether. It's happening at an incredible rate not seen before. Now, this is actually quite interesting. Oh, wow. Allstate replied to one of these. Wow, I wonder if this is, yeah, so they're making it, they don't want people to own homes. That's exactly why they're doing this, ultimately. It's a strategy. They want to push people into renting everything so that you don't own anything, that you have no control. Exactly, yeah, that makes total sense. Now, see, now it all fits together. They're just making it, and then they're going to say, oh, you have to have insurance to own a house, but since you know, we're canceling your policy, you can't own a house because you can never have insurance. Okay, got it. So that's kind of the globalist conspiracy theory here, but it's not really a conspiracy theory because it's actually happening. And again, it's happening because they share data with each other, which is an antitrust violation. It's happening because there's no regulatory body that's coming in here and enforcing more broadly some of the requirements for covering and not discriminating. It's also happening because it's so difficult to hire an attorney and then sue one of these insurance companies. You know, you hear these ambulance chasing law firms get settlements in cases where people have catastrophic injuries, which they should, of course. Tragic cases. But these are like the average everyday case that no one ever gets any justice whatsoever. The insurance company will get their money out of you one way or another, and they will leave you high and dry when you have a claim that they need to address. All right, enough about this. Let's look on the bright side. At least the lies are getting funnier. Karine Jean-Pierre is now claiming that Biden took an aptitude test and his IQ is 187. Pretty high. This makes him the smartest president in US history. Wow. It's amazing the stuff this woman says that she shamelessly wants us to believe. Einstein's IQ was 160, but Joe is even smarter than him. You got a face with a rolling eyes emoji. Well, you know, Joe Biden does have an IQ of 187. So you're just going to have to believe that. And if you don't believe it, then I guess you can just go to a government camp and get enslaved. I want to see this test that Joe Biden took. I don't know when she said this. Did she actually say this? People, I've seen this before over the past couple of days where people said that KGP actually said this, but I don't see a clip. I don't know if this is just all fake and gay or what, or if they're just making this up as sort of like a rumor. People just love complaining about Joe Biden, saying he's not very smart. So this is an easy win for a tweet, you know. I mean, I'm legitimately pissed at Joe Biden, not necessarily, well, I am about everything that's happened lately, but I'm really pissed about the fact that he has fucked this country up so bad as a senator with his VAWA bill and his 90s anti-crime bill that turned this country into a prison country, like a prison planet, where they just arrest anybody for any sort of allegation, and then ultimately what happens is women become, it's just a feminist, you know, doctrine that women then become the chieftains of this whole prison complex because they can make any allegation they want, and it's sort of like protected with this whole industrial complex of this prison planet that then goes out and grabs people, throws them in jail, disbars people, takes their professional licenses away, whether they're lawyers or doctors. I've seen it happen to many doctors. I've seen it happen to many lawyers. And then these dipshits get to act like a savior, right? Joe Biden does, because he's, quote, protecting women. Just like that police chief in Ellen Glenn, Illinois, who's got the banner for the League of Women's Voters, and he's trying to put settle immigrants in that city. And he's acting almost like this, quote, protector of women, when he's the opposite. These illegal immigrants coming in are going to definitely, engage in whatever domestic crimes they possibly can against whoever they can, including women. And so they're not the saviors, and these are the opposite. They're losers. But again, I'm not seeing this clip where she actually said it. So let me just check. Let me do a quick Google search on my other monitor here. See if she said this. Okay, so she did actually do it. Was she joking? Okay, I'm reading a tweet from Alex Perez Abba. Karine Jean-Pierre just finished her Monday morning briefing and said that Joe Biden took an aptitude test and got an overwhelming 187 IQ, making him the smartest president in U.S. history. 187 might be his weight or height. Okay, and then there's a community note on it, like I thought, because I thought this was fake. The story is wholesale fabricated. At no point during January 29, 2024's White House press briefing was Joe Biden's IQ discussed or brought up. He is low IQ, but I didn't actually see anything related to it. Farmers have blocked ever more traffic arteries across Belgium as they seek to disrupt trade at major ports, with a fourth day of protests and a continued push for concessions to get better prices for their produce and less bureaucracy to do their work. Now, this is a local news article from KSTP. It's the ABC affiliate in Minneapolis. And it's amazing that they're actually reporting on it, frankly. And that's why I have this tweet up here. Because normally they would just ignore it. But it's just kind of a replay of the Associated Press anyways. They just recast the Associated Press articles into the local news website. Okay. I wonder if there's any comments here. No, there's not. Ken Griffin. Citadel CEO and billionaire Ken Griffin donated $5 million to Nikki Haley's super PAC per CNBC. It is worth noting that Griffin's support extends beyond Nikki Haley, as he has also made a noteworthy $10 million donation to a super PAC backing Pennsylvania Senate candidate Dave McCormick. Ken Griffin is an asshole. Don't take any money from Ken Griffin. He is a fraudster who operated a slush fund of Blackpool money that was not transparent to federal regulators. And he is constantly violating the law. I'm surprised that he hasn't been fully investigated. I'm sure he has many times by the SEC and stuff, but he's probably inflating the prices of a lot of these companies and then stealing retail investor money. But he's kind of like a reinsurance Blackpool slush fund of money for hedge funds. That's what his Blackpool is. But he does it in such a way. That's why they love reinsurance and these sort of like reinsurance for hedge funds that Ken Griffin operates with his non-transparent trading apparatus. Because it's so secret. And he doesn't have to disclose necessarily. I mean, you'd have to look at the fine print of whatever regulation is involved. But he can kind of get away with hiding and smoke screening a lot of those trades. And he's able to basically pick and choose which hedge funds to prop up at this point. So he picks the winners and he picks the losers. Ken Griffin, I tell this story a lot, but he would make developers from Minnesota fly to Chicago for a week's worth of meetings and work and everything when, you know, this is kind of before remote work became a thing. And, I mean, he would treat people like shit. He would try and humiliate them in front of other people, claiming that he was so competitive. And he would always try and dominate anyone else in the room. That's who Ken Griffin is. Those are some of the stories I know about Ken Griffin. I realize it's hearsay, but that's all I can give you because they're never going to go on the record about it. I mean, these are the kinds of people, the douchebag developers and software architects who are working on that platform with Ken Griffin are the kinds of guys who wouldn't even name him, even though it's pretty obvious. I knew, because, you know, they told me, but I mean, if you're just talking like publicly, they'd be like, yeah, I work for a billionaire, or they wouldn't even name him. They would just say a billionaire in Chicago. Now he's in Miami, but there's your boy Ken Griffin right here. Now, since he's been thrown out of the MAGA castle because he's donating to Nikki Haley. By the way, he's donating along with pedophile Reid Hoffman. And, you know, they're coordinating to try and block out or body block President Trump from winning these primaries, and I think they realize that it's a hopeless situation for them. Even though President Trump has to continue to caucus in all these primaries, it's, you know, it's gonna just, Trump's cruising to the win here. There's very little in the way of winning the nomination. And Ken Griffin is just wasting money at this point, throwing money at Nikki Haley. I don't know what he's trying to get out of it other than just making Nikki Haley look like a warmongering hawk. And, you know, what is Ken Griffin getting out of this? Is he trying to start World War III? Because that's surely what it looks like, especially what he did to Chicago. Look at what Ken Griffin did to Chicago. He's blaming Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, who ballooned her personal budget up by hundreds of millions of dollars for various staff. I mean, they had a personal security arrangement for the mayor of Chicago of like 8 to 10 city cops. And then that was when Obama's minion was running the city. And then when Lori Lightfoot took over, she needed 120 cops, and she had a personal rapid force or something, like a SWAT team, a paramilitary assault force that constantly trailed her wherever she went. I mean, it was outrageous. The cost to the taxpayers in Chicago was tremendous. And he claimed Lori Lightfoot destroyed Chicago, which could very well be part of the equation. But Ken Griffin also destroyed Chicago. Ken Griffin didn't do anything. He was probably propping up Lori Lightfoot. He was giving money to all these corrupt politicians who destroyed Chicago. And for him to sort of deflect and blame shift and all these different ways to ensure that he wasn't the one who was accountable for what happened to Chicago, and then move from Chicago to Miami and build one of the most expensive homes ever built in the country. Because he's stolen so much money from different retail investors, aggregated through whatever hedge funds that he siphons money from through his black pools. You know, he's a douchebag. Ken Griffin is a fucking douchebag. Yeah, now we know what side he's on. He's here advocating for wars. He's here for advocating for imprisoning January 6th defendants. In fact, he would probably set up the satellite system of prison camps around the country and just start sending people and enslaving people whenever he wants, if that was good for his business. What a good way to lose all value. People should really boycott. The problem is with these hedge funds, they're so immune from criticism. It's so hard to boycott them. Maybe that's why they are hedge funds. Maybe that's why they're in the business that they're in. But there's got to be massive protests, especially outside of the headquarters of Citadel in Miami now. I don't know if they still have an office in Chicago, but I'm surprised that there isn't sort of like an Occupy protest right outside blaming him for giving just a bunch of money to Nikki Haley. Billionaires don't make bets that won't cash in. This is scary, especially at the stage where the nomination seems wrapped up. That's a good point. Never take things for granted until it's official. And even then, don't take it for granted. You got to fight up until the very end. Yeah, it is. That's a good point. I mean, you know, what does he know that we don't know? He's making a political market. He wants a cabinet job to avoid paying taxes. I think he wants a cabinet job to avoid being prosecuted. Here we go again, shaking my head. Nice loser on that. Why spend all that money knowing she won't make it far? Kenny is scared Trump will back her in the office. Get her back in office. I don't know what that means. Here's a good meme video. It's got a picture of Ken Griffin on, there's like an FBI agent to the left or something, and then okay, so it's just two random guys and it's Ken Griffin arrested. Yeah, this is great. I'm gonna bookmark this one. Dumpster fire. Wow. Who the hell is this? Should be illegal for one person to donate so much. A meme gif of Danny DeVito burning a bunch of cash. Hopefully that's fake cash for his show Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh gosh, what a waste. You know, Danny DeVito, what's wrong with this guy, by the way, Danny DeVito? He started that show on Netflix and he's gone way, way, way. I don't know what kind of evil he's involved in, but it's, I don't know if he's mocking. He started this show about Satan on Netflix. I don't know if he's mocking Satan or what, but he's just gone way, way, way crazy. It's almost like he's trying to glorify it. I don't know what's wrong with Danny DeVito, but man, oh man. He almost looks evil at this point. Bloomberg says 50. Color me shocked. Someone scared. A lot of clown emojis. Yeah, Trump don't play bedpost Griffin games. Donation equals greasing the wheel. Don't throw it all away. You owe retailers a shit ton. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Easy. He's stolen so much money from retail investors throughout the years. And I think he had control of the local political operation in Chicago for so long. And then once he realized that he no longer had full control over it, he started complaining about it and blame shifting and then moved to Miami. Laura Loomer, it's a hell of a lot more than 5 million in total. Ron, Tim, and Dirty Nikki number I heard was damn near 100 million. And no clue as to where the money went. So if this is true, it's just an allegation on the internet, you don't know if it is, $100 million donated to Nikki Haley that was made to prop up her campaign and just basically waste a lot of money. Where did the money go? Well, it went to local television stations, it went to advertisers, it went to Twitter, it went to Google, YouTube, Facebook, big tech companies. It went to lawyers, it went to political strategists. Where did most of that money go to? You know, it'd be nice to have a full breakdown, wouldn't it? Imagine wasting $5 million on nothing. Well, he's worth how much is Ken? I think he's worth like 2.5 billion. Let me verify Ken Griffin's net worth here. No, 35 billion. A lot of money. So 5 million for someone worth 35 billion. Let's see. I guess that's like donating $100 for an average person. Now I know he is crooked as the rest of them. So now we know who should not be president. Kenny Boy and Citadel do not want Trump in office. I wonder why. AMC. Citadel's billionaire founder Ken Griffin called Donald Trump a 3-time loser, a fucking asshole, and said he hoped the former president would see the writing on the wall. Here's your evening brief. Okay, I don't know if this is old or what, but yeah, 3-time loser. There must be some disagreement here between these two, and it has persisted for a long time. That's my thought on it. They don't like each other for some reason, and what that reason is, I guess probably, maybe some people know, maybe only Trump and Ken Griffin know. I don't know. Who cares, really? But this shows that Ken Griffin puts his own petty and minor issues above the country. I think that tells you all you need to know about Ken Griffin. That he's a narcissist, that he doesn't care about this country, he doesn't care about Americans at all, that this is consistent with everything I know about Ken Griffin from people who have worked directly with Ken Griffin. Same kind of behavior. In his divorce with his ex-wife, same behavior. He will hold on to a grudge forever. And he will put these grudges above everything else, even above the American people. And the reason that he's donating money to Nikki Haley probably is because Nikki Haley, A, will accept any amount of money to prop up her political campaign that she possibly can receive. B, because she has no principles. C, because Ken Griffin can easily control her. Tells you all you need to know. He's a crook and would steal from a child if he could. Yep. I guess Ken don't like Trump to be the new president. Not surprised, since he was funding DeSantis. Well, DeSantis has a lot to say about why he was taking money from Ken Griffin. I think he needs to come clean on that. And, you know, why is he given safe haven in Florida, Ken Griffin that is, when he came from Chicago? And why isn't the state government investigating Ken Griffin for a lot of his financial shenanigans that are now actually taking place on Florida soil? And since the state government in Florida now has jurisdiction over some of it, they could easily initiate an investigation in order to, I think, distance itself from some of the ties with DeSantis. You know, DeSantis I think would be better positioned to do something like that and then claim it's an independent agency of the state that is taking its own action against Ken Griffin and Citadel. This criminal is still wasting our money quickly. We know who Nikki is beholden to. Ever now, thanks. Okay. 5 million in ashes. What a waste. You know, and $5 million, what would that do to the city of Chicago? Let's say, like, if he used that money to build a shelter instead of having the state government use $11 million to transition illegal immigrants into homes in Glen Ellen, Illinois. You know, why not build a shelter with that $5 million in Chicago? Why not use that $5 million to lobby Democrats in order to shut the border down so that they can't even get in? You know, I mean, there's so much fraud associated with his donation to Nikki Haley as well. You know, like, what is he getting out of it? Like, what's the quid pro quo? Shouldn't that be kind of illegal? What's the kind of access he's getting to Nikki Haley? Is he able to shut down certain criticism? You know, Nikki Haley is notorious for being pro-censorship. Remember, it's not his money, it's yours. Yeah, and he got caught up in the meme stocks with AMC and GME. So GameStop and AMC Theaters. I think he was trying to short those stocks or something. And then a bunch of retail investors said, fuck that, because they were trying to bankrupt GameStop. And retail investors got together through Reddit and 4chan and fucking smashed Ken Griffin. And they fucking, and then they, you know, and then Ken Griffin turned around and tried to use federal regulators to say that it was illegal for retail investors to coordinate through 4chan and Reddit and trade simultaneously together in sync in order to avoid the full devastation of GameStop stock and AMC. Imagine that. Some guy who is repeatedly, relentlessly violating securities laws every single day and then says it's illegal for retail investors to actually talk about trades that they're going to make through social media and then try and save a company from bankruptcy like GameStop. Imagine that. I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't investigating a RICO scheme. 65 billion sold, not yet purchased. Oh, Ken Griffin met with George W. Bush recently. Surprising. This is about covering the crimes of every administration since LBJ. Good point. Good point, Manchurian Files. Mob payment. Best democracy that money can buy. You notice that in this thread, there aren't that many favorable comments for Ken Griffin. I would say this is about 99% anti-Ken Griffin. That's why I read these comments, just to verify and document, because they can memory hole all this information in the future. That's the billionaire who stopped Tim Crook. There you go. This is like the best comment of them all. That's essentially exactly what I just said. Yeah, he can manipulate the market, but you can't. Even though these markets are supposed to be manipulated by the public. That's the whole idea of having an open market. But they shouldn't be able to be manipulated by a small few of elite like Ken Griffin. That's the whole idea of prosecuting. If you're going to burn money, give it to someone, give it to something charitable, Ken. Waste of money, stolen money, what a waste of $5 million. Okay, oh, paying for prosecution protection. Yep, OG Chief. See, these people are actually really pissed about GameStop. And then a mirror of Ken Griffin and Bernie Madoff. Love it. Yeah, how come only the Jews get prosecuted, like SBF and Bernie Madoff? Why don't you prosecute a, you know, a little Irish guy like Ken Griffin? All right, so I think that's it. Let me just check here. I'm going to delete some of these because I think maybe bleeding over the edge here. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not done here. No, I'm not. There's a lot more. Damn, I got way too many tabs here. Oh man, we are stacked. We got to get through the rest of this. Damn. Stacked. All right, get back to the Ken Griffin bullshit. There we go. I want to talk briefly about this Elon Musk stuff. So I talked about it a little bit before, but I think what's happening here is obviously there's some coordination between the feds and the states here in this Court of Chancellery in Delaware. And I think Elon Musk's response to this, which is that he's potentially going to move Tesla out of Delaware and maybe incorporate it in Nevada or Texas. And I think that he is really, really pissed. And whatever tax revenue Delaware is getting out of this, or whatever other revenue Delaware is getting out of this, not necessarily from taxes, but, you know, this is a really dumb move to continue to coordinate in the judicial system in the way that they're doing, because they're going to get caught with Tesla. And they're going to get caught with Elon Musk, who's worth $250 billion and counting. And I don't even care about the $55 billion compensation package. I'm sure Elon Musk cares a lot about it. I'm sure it's a source of a lot of frustration for him. And that's why he tweeted out in frustration yesterday a couple times. And then he also outed Ilhan Omar. There is something strange going on here, because the mainstream media is going after Elon Musk so hard for buying Twitter X and allowing some free speech to flow through and people to connect and post stuff without it immediately getting shadow banned or whatever. And it must be some other things as well, but maybe it is Twitter and X. Maybe it's just simply his opposition to this New World Order scheme coming out of Davos. But this is very overt. You could be, you know, half brain dead and still be able to figure out this coordination between Delaware officials like Judge Kathleen McCormick and others. So I'm trying to think. So 76% of shareholders supported the package. And I believe, if I remember correctly, there was someone who owned 9 Tesla stocks as part of this class action lawsuit that McCormick pulled out and cited. I could be wrong about that. I'll have to read the decision. Unfortunately, I don't have it up. I'll pull it up later today. Do a stream about it. But, you know, someone with 9 Tesla shares. So she's, I guess, trying to say that she's sticking up for the little guy, you know, like, okay, the guy who owns 9 Tesla shares. And that the judge is sort of like saying, well, you know, this little guy, the symbolic little guy, I'm standing up for him or her against Elon Musk, the wealthiest person in the world. That's what they try and do in these situations when they're obscuring their corruption, hiding it, smoke screening it. $55 billion is a lot of money. But I think Elon Musk is trying to take this money out in order to buy back shares of Tesla, to consolidate his ownership, and therefore further turn Tesla into an AI platform for driving, which is, the value of Tesla. And this is sort of blocked. So what does this mean? This means that it's going to further prohibit Tesla from becoming an AI driving platform because it's got less cash to consolidate ownership related to Elon Musk's positions. But who knows what Elon Musk would use that money for? I mean, maybe Elon Musk would use it for SpaceX. Maybe Elon Musk would use it a little bit for Twitter. Maybe it would be a mix. Further turning Twitter, it's probably trying to prohibit, to an extent, turning Twitter into a more innovative social media platform. Like even with Spaces, introducing video and stuff, all that costs money. Now, Elon Musk has plenty of money to pay for all that, but still at the same time, it slows everything down a little bit. And it also frustrates Elon Musk. They really want to frustrate Elon Musk. They want to piss him off. And they want to give him paper cuts, so to speak, just to kind of annoy him. And I think if this is any sign of things to come, especially considering that Elon Musk is now the subject of 15 or 20 enforcement actions by the, ranging from independent federal regulators to the SEC to the EEOC. I guess that falls under independent federal regulators. And then now you can see too, for example, some of the EEOC enforcement actions brought against SpaceX, Tesla, or Elon Musk and his umbrella of companies. I think what they're trying to do is, and especially you see Elon Musk trying to deflect a little bit with Mark Cuban and trying to get Mark Cuban caught up in the EEOC enforcement actions because he wants the EEOC to go after others and not just himself. He wants to deflect a little bit. So that makes total sense. And I understand his tactics and his strategy behind that. And I don't think Mark Cuban it made Mark Cuban look like a fucking moron. And I think maybe Mark Cuban finally realizes that now. But it was also interesting too for just the drama component on Twitter, seeing it play out in public and in real time. But yeah, they're trying to distance Elon Musk from having full control over Tesla, ultimately. All right, let's get through the rest of these really quickly. Wall Street Silver. Meanwhile, people are working 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Falling inflation, rising growth give U.S. world's best recovery. Yeah, right. Clown World. How on earth did they build these without power tools or modern machines? Forget the name of this church. It's in Italy or Spain. Cathedral. Jeff Cole, regardless of your opinion on Omar or what she said this weekend, the fact that Emmer called on her to resign and Finstead piled on is newsworthy. The media blackout of this story in Minnesota is inexcusable. I think the Star Tribune did post an article about it. Jeff Kolb is former Crystal City City Council. Okay. I mean, the Star Tribune did actually post an article about it, but which was highly unusual. I guess KSTP, which is a local ABC affiliate, and this corrupt reporter, his name is Tom Hauser. He's the biggest dipshit in Minnesota. Kind of covered it a little bit, but he is a stooge. Chief political reporter at KSTP. He's literally the biggest idiot in the world. He blocks anybody who comments on his posts that don't agree completely with whatever post that he's posted. And a lot of people who have posted replies that are in contrast to whatever propaganda he's pushing, he just blocks. He's a fucking idiot. He's another guy who said, oh yeah, the state can just invalidate the statute whenever they want when someone was complaining about something. You know how hard it is to invalidate a statute in a state? It's virtually impossible. They invalidate a statute like once every 10 years. You know how much work it takes to do that? Like, I invalidated one state statute, and it took me just 2 to 3 years of just like fighting nonstop. And it was unusual, very, very unusual. When you fight through all the feminists and have to face the final boss, the meme of a woman somewhere who's overweight and she's got a spear, or what looks like a spear, maybe it's like a wooden spatula. Doesn't look very dangerous, the spear that she has in her hands, but she's pointing it at some guy wearing a vest, like a city worker or something like that. And he's kind of just like standing watching her. Pretty much what feminists look like in today's America. That is a good description of feminism. Juanita Broderick. America's impeachment still going live. C-SPAN 2. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene rambling.
And change it for all of you.
We have audio. I'm not sure if we have audio.
This is not a
'cause I can hear
policy
it, but-
debate. This is proof you can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying.
In New York.
This is not a policy debate. This is proof you can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying. This is not a policy debate. This is proof you can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying. This is not a policy debate. This is proof you can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman.
Net zero
Keep going.
policies will
We're
only
going
make
to
them
impeach
all
him
poorer.
because he has broken the law. He has
Correct.
violated
You are
his
correct,
oath of
ma'am.
office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are
See what
dying.
people say
today.
here.
This is not a
Circle
policy
them
debate.
wagons.
This is
It appears
proof.
that the armored
You
vehicle
can't
is
lie about the
surrounded.
numbers.
Perhaps
No
the
matter how
offer
much
of a
time
baguette
you
and
keep
coffee
giving
will
to
be well
Representative
received.
Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and
Okay,
change
so
it
the
for
net
all
zero
of you.
protests,
The
not net
facts
zero, will
are
make them
the
even
facts.
poorer.
Secretary
Subsidies for farmers
Mayorkas
spoiled the
is breaking the law.
farmers.
We are
Now,
going to impeach
we all have too much
Secretary
farmers and they
Mayorkas
extort more
today
money from taxpayers.
on this
Another French
committee.
Revolution.
We
Don't
don't
forget
care
the
how long
guillotine.
you go on. You can
Don't
keep
worry,
taking
he
your
will
5
pull
minutes
Trudeau
and yielding back
send
and
in
forth
US
and going to
UN
Goldman.
forces.
Keep
All the
going.
police in
We're going
France are
to
armed.
impeach him because he has broken the
Macron
law.
fears the
He has
guillotine.
violated his oath of office. He
Farmers
is
all
breaking
over
federal
Europe
immigration law.
love their
Americans
land,
are dying.
not their
today.
tenured
This is not a
government.
policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the
If you are
numbers.
gay
No matter
illegal,
how much time
you
you
get
keep
VIP
giving to
treatment
Representative
under Biden.
Goldman, he's not
Free
going to be
legal,
able to spin it and
medical,
change it
and
for all
armored
of
travel
you.
assistance.
The facts are
Busting into our
the
country
facts.
as a Latin lesbian
Secretary
gives you free housing,
Mayorkas
free
is
lawyers,
breaking the law.
free doctors,
We are going
and
to
free tickets
impeach
to travel anywhere you
Secretary
want.
Mayorkas
And that's
today
not all.
on this committee.
You get
We
free
don't
food and
care
drink,
how
free
long you go
Wi-Fi,
on.
and a
You can
free
keep
assistant to
taking your
help you
5
find your
minutes and yielding back and
long-lost
forth
cousin.
and going to Goldman.
Barack Hussein Obama.
Keep going.
whose
We're going
nickname was
to
the
impeach him because
Deporter
he has
in
broken
Oh, yeah.
the law.
You get free
He has
lawyers,
violated
and
his oath of office.
bankrupt
He is
anybody
breaking
else that
federal
we,
immigration law.
showered with evidence.
Americans are dying.
lawyers.
today. This is not a policy debate. This is
most
proof.
importantly, we will
You can't
live-
lie
most
about the
importantly,
numbers.
we will
No
live
matter
up-
how much time you keep
most
giving to
importantly,
Representative
we will
Goldman,
live up
he's not
to
going to
our
be able to
character
spin it
as a nation.
and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts.
That's exactly what
Secretary Mayorkas
Oh,
is
poor
breaking the law.
Brandon.
We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You
As
can
you
keep
see, the
taking your
president
5
has
minutes and
always
yielding
been
back and
responsible
forth and going to
for his
Goldman.
administration's border policy.
Keep going.
I think it's
We're
all
going to
kind of just a
impeach
big
him because he has
distraction, really.
broken the law. He has violated
though it
his
is a
oath of
massive
office.
problem,
He is
there's
breaking
something else
federal
here.
immigration law. Americans are dying. today. This is not a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers.
But the Vice
No matter
President
how
and
much
the
time
President
you keep
broke
giving
the
to
border
Representative
and now
Goldman,
claims
Play this
he's
and
not
we'll,
going to be able to spin it
end
and
the stream.
change it for all of
Maybe
you.
that's later tonight.
The facts are the facts. Secretary
going to
Mayorkas
file
is breaking
papers.
the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas
Phillips.
today on this committee. We don't
Ballot
care how long
case.
you go on. You
In
can
front of
keep
the
taking your
Wisconsin
5
Supreme Court
minutes
right
and
now.
yielding back and
Biden
forth
spent
and going
3
to
years
Goldman.
claiming the border was secure.
Keep
Party.
going.
In an
We're
election
going
year,
to
do you need
impeach him
violent
because
butter.
he has
powers to
broken
shut
the
it
law.
down?
You're in
He has
support
violated
of
his
shut
oath
down
of
a secure
office.
border.
He is
You
breaking
wouldn't
federal
close a
immigration law.
locked door.
Americans are dying.
The president has
today.
always
This is
had
not
the
a
power he
policy
needs to secure
debate.
the border.
We'll talk about
This
some of the
is
election
proof.
interference that
You
took
can't
place
lie
this
about the
past
numbers. No matter how
well,
much time
and
you
that
keep
was-
giving to
And
Representative
that
Goldman,
says that you
he's
probably
not
know
going to
what
be able to
people, so
spin it
lucky
and
guy
change
trying
it
to
for
interfere
all
with
of
power
you.
here.
The facts are the facts. Secretary
and
Mayorkas
deport
is breaking the
people
law.
under Title
We are
VI
going to
agreement
impeach
last week.
Secretary Mayorkas
to try and
today
further interfere.
on this committee. We don't care how long
And
you go on.
if anything
You
happens
can
to me,
keep
that's
taking
because
your
of
5 minutes and yielding
licensing
back and
attorney
forth
Katie
and going to
and
Goldman.
picture up here. We'll go over it again at the
Keep
very end
going.
as well.
We're going to
And
impeach him
Section
because
12
he
of the
has
US Code
broken
says
the
it is
law.
done. So
He has
whenever the
violated his
president
oath of
finds the
office.
entry of any
He is
alien
breaking
into
federal
the
immigration law.
States would be
Americans are
detrimental to the
dying.
interests of the
today.
United
This
States,
is not a
he may, by
policy debate.
proclamation, and for
This
such
is
periods as
proof.
he
You
shall
can't
deem
lie about the
necessary,
numbers.
suspend
No
the
matter how
entry of
much
all
time you
aliens
keep giving to
or
Representative
any
Goldman,
restrictions
he's
he
not
may
going to
deem
be
to
able
be
to spin
appropriate.
it and change it for
Congress
all of
passed
you.
that law in
The facts are are
52.
the facts.
And the media is so
Secretary
ignorant.
Mayorkas
Congress
is
needs to
breaking the
pass
law.
another law
We
for
are
Joe
going to
Biden to act.
impeach Secretary
really nice
Mayorkas
people coming
today
in.
Remember
on
this law.
this
You just
committee.
said 20,
We
because
don't care
Obama
how
used it.
long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman.
And that wouldn't make him a dictator.
Keep going.
That's-
We're going
The
to
Democrats
impeach
say
him
would make
because
him
he has
Dr.
broken the
Evil.
law.
Immigrant
He has
abuse.
violated
Donald
his
Trump
oath of
actually just said
office.
he wants to
He is
build-
breaking federal
Oh, yeah,
immigration law.
that's what they said. They said
Americans
that
are
Trump was
dying.
gators.
Incredible
Okay.
ideas.
This is not a
Another
policy
idea that
debate.
Donald Trump has
This
promoted
is
Unbelievable.
If he
proof.
actually wants to
You
electrify
can't lie
the
about the
border fence and
numbers,
maybe even
no
put
matter
some
how
spikes
much time
on
you
the
keep
border.
giving
That's
to
another Donald
Representative
Trump probably cares more
Goldman.
about those
He's
people
not
than
going to
more
be able to
Democrats
spin
do.
it
Another
and
idea-
change
Even
it
though
for
they're
all
not
of
even
you.
central country.
well it would
The
go.
At
facts
least he wants
are
to protect
the
them from
facts.
where they're
Northern
coming
Mexico
from.
with
Secretary
missiles.
Mayorkas
Now,
is
Biden
breaking
actually
the
wants
law.
to shut
We
down
are
the
going
border.
to
Why
impeach
is he trying to snip
Secretary
Texas razor
Mayorkas
wire?
today on
There's
this
no wire in
committee.
California.
We don't
And
care how
migrants are
long you
slithering
go
into
on.
San Diego
You
County
can
like
keep
there's a
taking
Black
your
Friday
5
sale.
minutes and yielding back and
Watch
forth
human
and going to
smugglers here
Goldman.
drop off macked out
Keep
migrants.
going. We're going
Look at
to
these
impeach
characters.
him because he has broken
woman
the
or
law.
child among them.
He has violated his
Illegal
oath of
immigrants won't
office.
come here
He's
because
breaking
China,
federal
Turkey,
immigration
trotting
law.
right around the world.
Americans
Stop
are
it.
dying.
They
This
get
is
handed
not a
welcome to
policy
USA
debate.
flyers for
This
That's how
breaking
bad
is
it's getting.
proof.
Mexico
You
probably is
can't
the
lie
worst
about the
country for that.
numbers, no matter how
They
much
get
time you
under
keep
like
giving
what
to
the United
Representative
States was
Goldman.
30, 40 years
He's
ago.
not going to be able to
You will be
spin
given the
it
option
and
of going
change
to a
it for
shelter
all of you.
where you will
Okay, so-
The
receive
facts
legal,
are
medical, and
the
all
facts.
travel assistance.
Secretary
You identify as
Mayorkas is
LGBTQ+,
breaking the law.
you have
We are going
Now, if
to
you're a
impeach
Latin
More
Secretary
privileges.
Bust into our
Mayorkas
country,
today
Biden gives you
on
free
this
housing,
committee.
free lawyers,
We
free
don't care
doctors,
how long
and
you
free
go
tickets to
on.
travel
You can
anywhere
keep
in
taking
most
your
of the
5
status you
minutes
need
and
them.
yielding back and forth
Wow,
and
they're
going
really
to
just trying
Goldman.
to
Got all
make
the
these
perks
illegal
for
immigrants
daily.
all
Keep
gay,
going.
huh?
We're
Free
going
food
to
and drink,
impeach him because he has
free
broken the
Wi-Fi,
law. He has
and a free
violated his
assistant like
oath of
Johnny,
office. He is
who will
breaking
help you
federal
find your
immigration law.
long-lost uncle or cousin.
Americans
For
are
them to even
dying.
write
Just
this
show
in
This
this
is
code,
not a
Just
policy
unbelievable.
debate.
No soy
Wow.
This
queer,
is
and
proof.
Venezuela
You
scares
can't
me.
lie about the numbers,
Write
no
this
matter
right
how
on.
much time you
Make
keep
yourself
giving
comfortable
to
in a
Representative
lounge
Goldman.
for
He's
your
not going to
connecting
be able to
flights on us.
spin it and
Maybe we
change
start you
it
with
for
a
all
beverage.
of you. The
And
facts
if Juan
are
feels
Fast
he's
the
times are
facts.
big
trapped in
mile high.
Juanita's body,
Secretary
Gavin
Mayorkas
Newsom will give him a
is
sex
breaking the
change
law.
on your dime.
We are going to impeach
Fact check me. I
Secretary
dare you. This is all
Mayorkas
true.
today
Free
on
sex
this
changes for
committee.
illegals in
We
California.
don't care how long you go
We'll
on.
also pay for your
You can
college,
keep
too,
taking
where
your
we'll
5 minutes
teach
and
you
yielding
America
back
isn't
and
any better
forth
than
and going to
Mongolia.
Goldman.
Faster you can get these
No
guys
wonder
in.
the
Keep
third
going.
world
better
showing
We're
off
up
going
at
you
the
to
are.
back door.
impeach
They're
him
coming
because
in
he
by
has
the
broken the law.
truckload.
He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying today. This is not a policy debate. This is proof.
Incredible.
You can't lie about the numbers, no matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman. He's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are
Border Patrol
the facts.
officers.
Secretary
Now, Biden and the
Mayorkas
cartels
is
have the
breaking the
migrant
law.
supply chain
We are going to
humming.
impeach
And many
Secretary
of your work
Mayorkas today
also get free
on
sex
this
changes,
committee.
but others are
We
some
don't
bad
care
hombres.
how long you go
Last
on.
week,
You can
Border
keep
Patrol
taking your
found
5
over
minutes and yielding
300
back
pounds
and
of
forth
fentanyl,
and going to Goldman.
200 pounds of
Wow.
meth.
Keep
All
going.
drugs
We're
found.
going to
Cocaine and
impeach him
over
because he
50
has
firearms.
broken the law. He has
Hopefully
violated
all
his
that
oath of
sounds like
office.
fentanyl,
He is
Malibu,
breaking
Tons of
federal
meth,
immigration
century
law.
ago, Biden would be
Americans
tried
are
for
dying
treason.
today.
Today,
This is not a policy
administration
debate.
gave
Kinds of
itself
things
an
are
This
award.
causing a
is
lot of
proof.
problems for
You can't lie about the
families in
numbers,
these
no matter
countries.
how much time you
That's
keep
what you
giving
do
to
in whatever
Representative
facet of
Goldman.
Biden
He's
might
not
decide
going to be able to
you
spin it
participate in.
and change it for all
So,
of you.
know, support
The
it and
facts
like
are
identify
the
that kind of
facts.
thing.
to rescue
Secretary Mayorkas
and to
is
prevent
breaking the the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and
Mayorkas
yielding
gave the
back and
staff an
forth and
award
going
for
to
combating
Goldman.
human trafficking.
Keep
after
going.
they trafficked
We're going
6
to
million
impeach
humans
him
into the
because he
country
has broken the
and
law.
lost
He has
almost
violated his
100,000
oath of
kids.
office.
All right.
He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are
Feels like a
dying.
spoof movie.
today.
Yes,
This is
yes,
not
it
a
does. All right,
policy
so
debate. This is
here's the
proof.
cease and desist letter
You
I
can't
received
lie
last
about
week.
the numbers. No matter how much
zoom out
time
on
you
this a little
keep
bit.
giving to
Try to see it a little
Representative
bit better.
Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are
here is-
the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the
man, I
law.
don't have- hold
We
on.
are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law.
Here is, Nick
Americans
Vivian.
are
He's the city
dying.
attorney here.
today. This is not a
Trying to-
policy debate. This is
Silence.
proof. You
He's been
can't lie
doing
about the numbers.
that
No matter
for
how
a
much
number of
time you
years
keep
now. He's
giving to
maintained what
Representative
they were doing
Goldman,
previously.
he's not going to be
Let me
able to
pull up
spin
the,
it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying. This is not a policy debate.
On this
This
computer,
is
but
proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not
guy
going to be
here.
able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts.
have relentlessly
Secretary
tried to harass and
Mayorkas
target
is
me over
breaking the
years,
law.
and they,
We
again,
are
I
going
tell this
to
story every
impeach
stream at this point
Secretary
because it
Mayorkas
needs to be
today
out, but
on
in
this
2017,
committee.
although
We
he
don't
wasn't
care
chief
how
of
long
police in
you
the
go
city, he still
on.
maintained
You
it
can
when he
keep
took over
taking your
shortly
5 minutes
thereafter.
and yielding back and
He,
forth and going to
swatted
Goldman.
my house. Keep
going. We're going
claiming
to
that I made a
impeach him
Facebook
because he
post,
has broken
just
the
a regular
law.
Facebook
He has
post. It was
violated
totally
his oath
harmless,
of
it was totally
office.
peaceful.
He is breaking
And
federal
then
immigration
inflicted a
law.
bunch of torture on me for a
Americans are
number of
dying.
years, has tried to prevent
This
me
is
from
not a
working.
policy debate. This
and
is
then he,
proof.
along with his
You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you
attorney,
keep
Nick
giving
Vivian,
to Representative
have
Goldman, he's
now
not going
engaged
to be
in
able
a
to
RICO
spin
pattern
it
to
and
coordinate
change
with
it for
officials
all
in
of
New
you.
York,
The facts
and they've
are
had
the facts.
significant
Secretary
communication
Mayorkas
with those
is
officials
breaking
in
the
order
law.
to
We are going to
interfere
impeach
with
Secretary
what was going
Mayorkas
on
today
with the Manhattan
on
civil
this
fraud
committee.
trial, with
We
some of the
don't care how
criticism
long you
surrounding,
go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman.
Goron's principal law clerk,
Keep
Alison
going.
Greenfield.
We're going to impeach him
And
because he has
the fact
broken
that
the
they would
law.
go in and try
He
and
has
terrorize
violated
me
his
further
oath
and
of
my family
office.
as well.
He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying.
Communicate just with
This
officials
is
from
not
out
a
of state in
policy
order to carry
debate.
this out
This
is highly
is
unlawful.
proof.
It's a RICO
You
scheme.
can't lie about the
And
numbers.
they need to
No
be
matter how much
prosecuted,
time
both
you
Nicholas
keep giving
Vivian
to
and
Representative
Jeff Owens. They
Goldman,
will be in
he's not going to be
2025,
able to
I guarantee
spin
it.
it and change
But
it
last
for
week,
all
right
of
before
you.
the E. Jean Carroll
The
verdict,
facts are
he
the
sent
facts.
me this wildly
Secretary Mayorkas
outrageous
is breaking
and
the law.
unlawful
We are
cease
going
and
to
desist
impeach
email.
Secretary
And so I
Mayorkas
encourage any of you
today
out there, if
on
anything
this
happens to me,
committee.
this is the
We
reason.
don't care how long
I
you
encourage
go
anyone
on.
out there
You can
to
keep taking your 5
criticize
minutes
these
and
two
yielding back
characters,
and
go
forth
up
and going to
websites,
Goldman.
Tweet about them.
Keep going. We're going to impeach him
make
because he
videos,
has
whatever you
broken
need
the
to do to
law.
criticize
He has
them.
violated his
But it's
oath of
really
office. He is
outrageous,
breaking
similar
federal
to, for
immigration
example,
law.
how
Americans are
Nikki
dying.
Haley has now repeatedly
This is
tried
not
to
a
kick out Laura
policy
Loomer
debate.
from various events.
This is
in her
proof.
pro-censorship
You
operation.
can't lie about the
These
numbers.
two
No matter how
have
much time you keep
effectively
giving
gone
to
far
Representative
and
Goldman,
away
he's
beyond
not
any
going
of
to be
those
able to
sort of
spin
boundaries
it
and
and change it for all of you.
my family and I
The
for a
facts
number of
are
years now
the facts.
and maintained
Secretary
the previous
Mayorkas
cycle
is breaking
that
the
they were
law.
engaging
We
in
are
from
going to
whatever their
impeach
predecessor was
Secretary
doing
Mayorkas
and taking
today
it
on
fully
this
into,
committee. We don't care how long you
2024
go
here
on.
now
You
with
can
some
keep
of the things
taking
that
your
they're
5
doing.
minutes and yielding back and
So
forth
I,
and going to Goldman.
I mean,
Keep
they need to
going.
be prosecuted.
We're
I don't
going
know
to
any other
impeach
way.
him because
I
he
mean, I
has broken
constantly-
the
I mean,
law.
I've reported this
He has
to every
violated
single
his
US
oath of
attorney's
office.
office in the
He
country.
is breaking federal immigration law.
I would file
Americans are
bar complaints
dying.
against Nick
Okay.
Vivian.
This is not a
If I were
policy
anyone out there.
debate.
If
This
I were
is
you, I would also
proof.
file election
You can't
complaints
lie
against
about
Nick
the
Vivian
numbers.
and Jeff
No matter
Owens for
how much
interfering.
time you keep giving to Representative
it is,
Goldman,
you know, it is
he's not
just
going to be able to
unbelievable
spin
what
it
these
and
two
change
have-
it for
have
all
done
of
and
you.
gotten away with. And
The
by the
facts
way, the former
are the facts.
city administrator knew
Secretary
what they were doing.
Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are
And,
going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on
and/or
this
got fired
committee.
because
We
of what
don't
was
care
going
how
on,
long you
because
go
he could
on.
see their
You can keep
communications and
taking
he
your
could see
5
their
minutes and yielding back
felony
and forth
actions.
and going to
And
Goldman.
And there's no reason he quit
Keep
immediately
going.
and or got fired
We're going to
immediately.
impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying today. This is not a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much
Aaron
time
Reeves.
you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it
So-
for all of you.
And then
The
they
facts
installed a
are
minion named Mike
the facts.
Johnson.
Secretary
kind of the
Mayorkas
assistant
is
city
breaking the
administrator,
law.
and now he's kind of
We are
taken
going to
over for
impeach Secretary
Aaron Reeves, who
Mayorkas
quit, and
today
he's
on this
seeing a lot of the
committee.
felony
We don't
activity that
care
they're
how long
involved
you
with,
go on.
with
You
respect
can
to some
keep
previous
taking your
election
5 minutes
activities.
and yielding back and forth and going to
in
Goldman.
This particular city,
Keep going.
during the
We're going
2020
to
election,
impeach him because he has broken the law.
in
He has
the
violated his
2022
oath of
election, I believe,
office.
over here,
He is breaking
there
federal
were a
immigration
number
law.
of
Americans
controversies
are
surrounding
dying.
poll watching.
This is not a
And
policy
Nick
debate.
Vivian
This
actually,
is
here, we can
proof.
pull up the article.
You can't
We
lie
should.
about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to
That reminds
spin
me.
it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying. This is not a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's
Here's
not
an
going to be
article.
able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts. Secretary Mayorkas is
2022
breaking the law.
election,
We are going
there
to
was an ethics
impeach
complaint
Secretary
filed.
Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the
City
law.
Administrator
He has
Aaron
violated
Reeves,
his
Nick
oath of
Vivian,
office. He is
and
breaking federal immigration
Randy
law.
Morissette.
Americans are dying.
Morissette
today.
second.
This is not a policy
Mayor Rich
debate.
O'Connor,
This is
were
proof.
accused of
You can't
ethical
lie about the
violations.
numbers. No matter how much time you keep
So, City
giving to
Administrator Aaron Reeves,
Representative
City Attorney
Goldman,
Nick Vivian,
he's not going to be able to spin it
City Council
and
Member
change
Randy
it for all of
Morissette
you.
II and Mayor
The
Rich
facts
O'Connor were
are
accused of
the
ethical
facts.
violations.
Secretary
And what actually
Mayorkas
happened
is
here
breaking
is
the
Nick
law.
Vivian
We are going to
made
impeach
findings
Secretary
on
Mayorkas
his own
today on this
ethics
committee.
complaint.
We don't care how long you go on.
In order to further
You can keep
conceal
taking your
the
5
complaint
minutes and
itself.
yielding back and forth
and
and
they also
going to
hired an outside
Goldman.
law firm, and he
Keep
claimed
going.
he lied about
We're
it
going
and said
to
that
impeach him because he
it
has
was-
broken the law.
he
He has
partially made the
violated his
findings
oath
with
of
the
office. He is breaking
outside
federal
attorney
immigration
and
law.
law firm that they hired.
Americans are dying.
And
today.
this was
This is not a policy
also related
debate.
to a
This
poll
is
watching
proof.
incident
You can't
because
lie
they
about
claim
the
that another
numbers.
city council
No matter
member,
how
someone
much
associated
time
with
you
the
keep
city
giving
itself,
to Representative Goldman,
had,
he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for
didn't
all of
properly
you.
provision
The
themselves
facts
as a
are
poll watcher or
the
something. So they were
facts.
doing some
Secretary
weird
Mayorkas
election
is
interference
breaking the
stuff
law.
here, and the fact
We
that
are
they tried
going
to
to impeach
conceal
Secretary Mayorkas
their,
today on this
and it's all-
committee.
these
We
are all
don't care
Democrats,
how
by the
long
way.
you
Nick
go
Vivian
on.
is a hardcore
You can keep
liberal.
taking your 5 minutes and
Aaron
yielding back
Reeves is
and
a
forth
gay
and going to
man,
Goldman.
Who quit
Keep going. We're going to
after
impeach
what he
him
saw
because
Nick
he has
Vivian
broken
do
the
with
law.
Jeff Willems
He has violated his oath of office.
respect
He is
to
breaking
Hola
federal
Judge
immigration
and
law.
Goron
Americans
and,
are dying. today.
Alison
This is not
Greenfield.
a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the
The
numbers.
mayor is a
No matter how
former
much time
state
you keep
representative
giving
in
to
Minnesota.
Representative Goldman,
He lives in
he's
Hudson,
not going to
Wisconsin,
be
which
able to
is a border
spin it
town.
and change it for all
He's a
of
mayor
you.
here. He's also an
The
attorney,
facts are the
but he's a
facts.
non-practicing attorney in
Secretary
Wisconsin. He's licensed in
Mayorkas is
Minnesota.
breaking the law. We are going to
He's
impeach
retired, but
Secretary
he's a hardcore
Mayorkas
liberal.
today on this committee.
And,
We don't
the
care
fact
how long
that
you go on.
these
You can keep taking your 5 minutes
players
and
have
yielding
not
back
been
and forth
investigated
and going to
previously
Goldman.
for some of their actions, even
Keep
though
going. We're going to
people
impeach
have
him because
filed
he has
proper
broken the
complaints, like,
law.
for example,
He has violated
the
his
woman who
oath of
filed the complaint
office.
here,
He is breaking federal immigration law.
Joyce
Americans are dying.
Sorry.
today. This is not a
Based off of
policy
something filed by
debate.
John Kraft.
This is proof.
So
You
John
can't lie
Kraft
about the numbers. No matter how much time you
filed a
keep giving
complaint.
to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of
Okay,
you.
no, wait. Sorry.
The facts are
Reading this
the
article,
facts.
I've only read
Secretary
this article once before, but it was a long
Mayorkas
time
is
ago,
breaking
so
the
let me just
law.
get the facts
We
straight
are
here.
going to
Kraft was
impeach
a poll worker.
Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying today. This is not a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are
These
the
local
facts.
news articles, you really got to dig through.
Secretary
They're not written
Mayorkas
very well.
is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying today. This is not a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts.
Okay.
Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to Goldman. Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying today. This is not a policy debate. This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No matter how much time you keep giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you.
So
the facts
conclusions
are
were made by
the
Nick
facts.
Vivian.
Secretary Mayorkas is breaking the law. We are going to impeach Secretary Mayorkas today on this committee. We don't care how long you go on. You can keep taking your 5 minutes and yielding back and forth and going to
It's pretty
Goldman.
outrageous.
Keep going. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law. He has violated his oath of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying today. This is not a policy debate.
They were interfering
This is
in an election.
proof. You can't lie
in
about the
2022,
numbers.
and so they
No matter
basically
how
did
much time you keep
something
giving to Representative Goldman,
much
he's not going to be
more
able to
grand
spin it and change it
when
for
they
all
came
of
after
you.
me and they're still
The
sending me these
facts
cease and
are
desist
the facts.
emails
Secretary Mayorkas
here,
is breaking the law.
to
We are
further
going to impeach
interfere with
Secretary
whatever
Mayorkas
happened
today
with Allison
on this
Greenfield because they were
committee.
in clear
We don't
communication
care how
with
long you go on.
officials in
You
New
can
York.
keep taking your 5
And the
minutes and
fact
yielding
that,
back and forth and going to
They've
Goldman.
tried so hard to conceal
Keep
and
going.
cover up all
We're
of
going
this
to
stuff.
impeach him
So
because
again,
he
if
has
anything
broken the
happens to
law.
me, it's because
He
of
has
these
violated
losers.
his oath of
They need to be
office. He is
prosecuted.
breaking
I'm gonna put their
federal
pictures up
immigration
again.
law.
This is Nick Vivian,
Americans
and then
are
this is
dying
Chief
today.
Jeff
This
Willems
is not a policy debate.
2025,
This is proof. You can't lie about the numbers. No
will
matter
be
how much time
prosecuted,
you keep
guaranteed.
giving to Representative Goldman, he's not going to be able to spin it and change
that's
it
it.
for all of you.
Hate
The
talking about that
facts
stuff, but I
are
think it's
the
needed.
facts. Secretary Mayorkas
little bit
is
too personal,
breaking the
but-
law. We are going to impeach Secretary
needed to ensure
Mayorkas
that if anything
today
happens to me,
on
you know
this
why,
committee. We don't care
and
how long
to
you go on.
take
You
actions,
can
certainly
keep
pray for
taking
me
your
as
5
well,
minutes
take
and yielding
actions,
back and
peaceful,
forth and going to
lawful
Goldman.
actions to
Keep going. We're going to impeach him
appropriately
because
shed
he has
light
broken
on
the law.
their
He has
felony
violated
RICO
his oath
scheme.
of office. He is breaking federal immigration law. Americans are
I will
dying
see you later.
today. This is
Probably
not a
later today at some
policy
point. I
debate.
will
This
post
is proof. You
the
can't lie
Dean
about the
Phillips letter
numbers.
that I filed
No
with
matter
the
how
response to
much
Supreme
time you
Court
keep giving to Representative
that
Goldman,
further
he's not
details
going
the
to be able to
actions
spin
of
it and change
Nick
it for all
Vivian
of
and
you.
Jeff Willems.
The facts are the facts.
Moreover,
Secretary
I will
Mayorkas is
share
breaking the
some of
law.
the
We are
collection
going to
complaints
impeach
that I have
Secretary
filed or
Mayorkas today on this
prospectively
committee. We
will
don't
file.
care how
I
long you
think, in
go
fact,
on. You can keep
I don't wanna
taking your
tell
5
anybody
minutes
what I
and
do
yielding
before I
back
do it,
and
but I
forth
will
and going to
file,
Goldman.
Additional
Keep
election
going.
complaints.
We're
I
going
filed
to
a couple
impeach him
already, so
because he has
we'll
broken
go
the
through
law.
them on the
He
next
has
stream,
violated
and I'll
his
pull
oath
up
of office. He is
Elon
breaking
Musk's
federal immigration law.
decision
Americans are dying
in front of that
today.
Court of
This is not a
Chancellery
policy
in Delaware
debate.
with Kathleen
This
McCormick.
is proof. You
Taking
can't lie
away
about the
Elon Musk's
numbers,
pay
no
package.
matter how much
Until
time
then,
you keep
take care.
giving
Bye.
to Representative Goldman. He's not going to be able to spin it and change it for all of you. The facts are the facts.